Welcome to another exciting episode of the Ripple Effect Podcast. I'm your boy Quattro,
I'm Diesel.
and we're here with some great topics today, ready to dive in and create some ripples. Today, our topics are the stages of moral development, the traditional path to financial poverty, do women need men to survive, and our last segment will be responding directly to the social media comments and reactions. Up first, the stages of moral development. Are we making decisions based on principle or just reacting to rewards and punishments? In this segment, we will break down Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development, exploring how children, teens, and adults process morality differently. Do adults truly act out of experience, or are we all just conditioned by society's expectations? And if we are, is real morality even possible? Let's dive into it. All right, first up, the stages of moral development. Are we making decisions based on principle or just reacting to rewards and punishments? In this segment, we'll break down Lawrence Kohlberg's theory of moral development, exploring how children, teens, and adults process morality differently. Do adults truly act out of experience, or are we all just conditioned by society's expectations? And if we are, is real morality even possible? Let's dive in. So this is a big heavy topic. I mean, this involves and encompasses like so many levels. There's levels to
Yes,
this topic, right?
yes. Definitely levels.
Literally.
Literally levels, right. And the reason why this one stuck out to me is because personally I've always asked the question, how do humans develop a sense of right and wrong, which is morality?
Hmm.
Like how do we do that? Because we know that to some people, action A is right, but then to the next person, action A is wrong.
Hmm.
But it's like, how did these two individuals get to their stance
Yeah.
on that topic? And from my just personal research, eventually just being in digital streets, I came to realize that that word I was looking for, that topic I was looking for, was called moral reasoning.
Yeah. Which is subjective. What I'm coming to find out, because you could have a person that has the same moral compass or whatever you want to call it, but under certain circumstances,
Yep.
all that goes out the window.
Yeah. So it's definitely a fluid situation where
Yeah.
but here's what I've also learned as well is that it is fluid, but how fluid you can be, it is based upon the level of your social, well, the level of development of your cultural values,
Hmm.
your socialization, as well as your cognitive development.
Mm.
So, for example, in this specific framework, he has 6 levels.
Yeah.
So, what I'm realizing though is that if a person only got to level 2, then they only can make, well, their moral reasoning and judgment is just going to flow between level 1 and level 2.
Right.
But if someone gets up to level 4, then their moral reasoning and judgment is flowing from 1 to 4.
1 to 4. Right.
So that's what
So
makes it
so
fluid.
so that makes them more, um I would say, more aware.
Yeah, that was my next leap in thought, was like, okay, well, the people, that's most likely why there is a higher expectation for people who do reach higher levels of moral reasoning, because you definitely understand what's happening
Right.
in regards to any situation or circumstance, higher than, I mean, you have a higher level of understanding of what's happening and how this other person is doing what they're doing, because you're more, let's just say, if you gotten level 4 but you're
Hmm.
interacting with a person that's gotten only the level 2, then like, yeah, you're gonna be viewed as, well, y'all gonna be bumping heads.
Hmm.
But then now I understand, like, yeah, the person with the higher level of moral reasoning, you are the one that is expected to take the quote unquote high road, or to be the bigger person, because the person that's on level 2, they on level 2.
And they can't
and
go
they
no
can't
further.
go no further than level 2.
They can't
So
even
all
comprehend.
you really will be doing as that higher developed individual, you are making yourself look like a fool because because again, you can't operate on your higher levels of moral reasoning and judgment with a person who's only at level 2 because they only at level
They only
2.
got 2. They don't
You
have.
got to come down to their level.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know y'all wondering, like, what are they talking about? Who is this Lawrence Kohlberg and all this? So I'm gonna play this video to kind of like bring y'all up to speed where we at. So watch this video.
Think you're a good person, but take away your comfort, your food, your security, your stability, and you'll see how quickly your morals vanish. Morality isn't universal, it's a privilege. And the moment survival is at stake, the mask comes off. This is day 26 of Decoding Human Nature. Under extreme pressure, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for morality, gets overridden by the amygdala, which only cares about keeping you alive. Suddenly, what was once unthinkable becomes logical. You lie, steal, betray, and your mind justifies it, not because you're a bad person, but because morality was never about truth. It was about what was convenient. If you want to know who someone truly is, don't watch them when they're comfortable. Watch them when they're desperate. Pressure reveals character faster than time. This is how you identify who you can trust and who will betray you when the world turns dark.
Yo, that video, I hope y'all seen that because it kind of breaks it down and it enlightened me to like
That was very enlightening.
very much so. Like, what do he say? Morality.
It's not about truth. It's about
not about the
convenience.
truth. It's about convenience. And that was like,
Yeah.
like wow. Like when
Yeah.
you really think about
Mhm.
that is so true.
Yeah. Because as we will learn as we dive deeper into these the stages of moral development, Kohlberg specifically, one of the levels, I believe it's level 3,
Mm-hmm.
which is focused where your moral reasoning and judgment is driven by self interest and personal gain,
Mm-hmm.
or the expectation of a reward. Like that's where that comes from in that specific case. You know what I mean? Because if
Mm-hmm.
we aren't, well, if male or female, well, just the human being, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are, a lot of times we like to think in good and bad, or in truth or lies, as he said.
Mm-hmm.
But again, morality is mostly about, it isn't necessarily about the truth or good or bad. It's just about convenience in the situation that you in.
Yeah.
Because like he said,
You take away the food.
yeah,
You take away shelter. You take away your money.
you take away your conveniences.
Yes.
What you thought was illogical and unthinkable when you had those conveniences now becomes logical.
Now it becomes survival mode. Now it becomes like I gotta do this. Like I'll go rob anyone
Yeah.
because I need to eat.
Yeah.
Or I go rob because my kids need formula, whatever the case may be, whatever the necessity is.
And as you just said that, it made me realize we have criminalized that behavior.
Yeah.
However, well, we've criminalized in the name of it being wrong. It's not right. Nonetheless, as we just learned though, that person at that, let's just say the person who robbed the store so they can feed they baby, again, like that person made a moral decision. It was driven by a higher level of morality than the first level, which is obedience, so that you can avoid punishment. So we got to be mindful of these things and understand that again, morality is bigger than, like he said, than just is something good or bad, or is it a truth or a lie. No, it's about convenience.
Yeah, which makes
it
it
really is
conditional.
about convenience.
Yeah, which makes it conditional and relative to whatever the situation is at hand. Right, I'll find out. So y'all hear us talking about these different levels. Let's show them the different levels and stuff.
So where does the jump happen? Where men run ahead?
I'm so glad you asked. It happens right here at the fourth of Kohlberg's stages of moral development. The average adult male lives in the fourth stage, law and order morality, which involves, doing the right thing and keeping law and order, like putting a fence on the border, stuff like that. Whereas the average adult woman stays stuck in the nice girl stage forever, which involves mostly doing and saying the things that make other people clap for you. Like the video you made that I'm responding to right now. So on my chart, Kohlberg's stage 3, the good girl level, is somewhere in between this selfish level and this social oriented level, whereas the next stage, stage 4, law and order morality, is between the social and the rational level. There it is, rational. Like men. We know that men are more rational because they do things like pay off their debt instead of traveling or whatever. So here you go. You right now are somewhere in between the self-interest orientation and the conformity orientation. That looks like this. This may as well be you in a big crowd of people saying wacky stuff to fit in. But at stage 4, which is higher and superior, you get behavior like this: keeping order. So yeah, you sure did say a lot of words in your video. None of them were accurate though. So your video would be an example of this lower level morality, and my response to you would be an example of the better level of morality. Hey, did you know that single fathers raise better families than single mothers? Yeah, that's because they're real grown-ups. Anyway, enjoy clucking into your phone. I'm sure you'll get lots of hearts and likes from all the builders of society.
So that's a little more
Insight.
insight on
On
the
the
different
levels.
I implore you to look up
Kohlberg's
Kohlberg's
theory of
moral
no, the stages of moral
development.
development. Right.
Lawrence Kohlberg to be
Kohlberg.
exact.
Like Goldberg chicken, but
Because
he's Kohlberg.
there's levels to it, and I think knowing these levels will help with things like conflict resolution.
100%.
It will help with making decisions, tough decisions.
Yeah.
It will help you respect other people in positions and understanding where they are and where they're coming from.
Yep.
And with their with their purposes.
Yep.
Like when you're dealing with police officers or any government official, understand
Yep.
they're operating at certain levels, like right or wrong, or punishment. What was the first one?
So the first level, stage 1, is where you're just trying to avoid punishment.
Yeah, avoid punishment.
And then level 2 was where you're focused on personal gain.
Yeah.
Level 3 was you are seeking approval.
Mm-hmm.
And level 4 was you want to maintain law and order.
Yeah.
Level 5 is basically you want to protect basic human rights and democratic values. And then level 6 was you are driven by universal principles, which is the highest level, which Mr. Kohlberg theorizes is rare for a human to get to.
So the question is, what happens when the universal principles are challenged by another factor? Like, which side of morality do you stand on at that point?
Well, based on that framework, his position is that, again, the universal principles, like that's like the highest level of morality a human being can reach, which most of us never reach. So to your point, so level 5 will be what you're mostly talking about in that, the social contract.
Okay.
As we've agreed as a society that, right is right and wrong is wrong. We've established these things. Now, this is important because this now helps us understand where someone is at on the level. So, for example, if we're having a discussion about relationships and someone's like, well, let's just say a guy is saying things like, well, a woman is supposed to do this for a man.
Okay.
A woman should do this for a man. His language is telling us that his moral reasoning and judgment is operating on that of self-interest.
Okay.
Which is level 3, personal gain, because a man will only say what a woman is supposed to be doing or should be doing because he wants something from her. He wants to gain something from her. He has an expectation of a reward, and vice versa. When a woman says things like, "Oh, I had sex with him, so he was he strung me along. If he didn't want to be in a relationship with me, then he should have told me that up front, and I never would have had sex with him."
Okay.
But that was her operating at a level of moral reasoning and judgment of self-interest, again, personal gain. Like, she wanted a relationship with the man, but instead of her just having a discussion to make sure they was on the same page, operate on the same. No, her moral reasoning and judgment told her like, all right, well, just give him some sex, and automatically it's gonna make him want to be in a relationship with you. But then when she doesn't get the outcome she wanted, which is the relationship in this case, that's why she comes out backs and says like, oh, he took advantage of me. You know, he was supposed to do this, or he shouldn't have did that if this is what he. But her moral reasoning at that point is telling us that okay, no, how you came to your decision to have sex with this man was driven by your expectation of a reward. In your case, the reward was this exclusive, long-term serious relationship with the man. That's what you was in. That was your outcome, and you leveraged your sex to thinking that was going to give it to you. Whereas the man in that case, again, he could be operating at the same level of self-interest in that, he wants to have sex with her, personal gain, but he didn't set up and he didn't sit up and say like, you know what? Again, he didn't have a conversation either. You know what I mean? Because operating at a higher level of morality would have been him saying something along the lines like, hey, this is my intention. I would like to have casual sex with you, but are we on the same page there? Are you expecting something more out of this?
On a side note, why do women always think that the men are the only ones that get anything out of sex?
That's what they've been socialized to believe.
Like they're getting just as much as the fulfillment and pleasure as the man is. So it's kind of like even.
I've always been my stance has always been, sex is a mutual act. That's why it's free. You know what I'm saying? Like it's even exchange.
And we both benefit.
Yeah,
if I do my job good and you do your job good, we both get up satisfied. But why I gotta do a good job, please you, and then still there's more requirements that I have to give you because, you gave me the same thing I gave you, which was a good time.
Going back to what is the level of said woman's cognitive development? What is her socialization? And what are the cultural values in which she operates by? That's going to let us know what level of moral reasoning she's going to operate at.
And so if I'm understanding...
Same thing with a man.
If I'm understanding what Kohlberg is saying, it's not that you'll operate at one level all the time.
Exactly.
And it's not that you'll, stay at one level or you only can go to a certain level. Is knowing all the levels. So therefore, as you operate and navigate through life, you'll have a better understanding of people and inner dynamics with people and dealing with altercations, situations, employers, relationships, and all that. It's just having the spectrum, knowing the spectrum of the mental development of a person's mind.
So case in point, before we get to the next clip, let's look at politicians or politics. The average politician's moral reasoning and judgment is rooted in level 1 and level 2. Why? Because all politicians are focused on the personal gain of being in office and the perks that come with that. So in order to maintain office, they will lie to their constituents. They will double speak to their constituents. They will say and do whatever needs to be done to maintain their seat in office.
Okay.
Not necessarily to benefit their constituents, which is what the constituents think that the politicians are there to do.
Right. Right.
See how that works there? But again, when we watching C-SPAN, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, that's why, on TV, they'll say things like, "Oh, case in point, like right now, I think the last thing, the text message for the war plans."
Oh yeah, the leaked
text message. So when I'm watching that, I keep hearing people the talking heads, the pundits, as well as the politicians they have coming on. The rhetoric is all pointing towards they didn't obey, so now they need to have these consequences. They need this punishment. Whereas the other side is like, nah, it's not that big of a deal. But it's again, even the politicians is operating on level 1 because now it's just to keep it simple, the Republican Party is trying to avoid the consequence of whatever comes with this leak. Whereas the Democratic Party is like, nah, like you guys need to conform to these laws and maintain order. Well, I guess that would be there. In that regard, the Democrats would be operating on level 4, which is maintaining order, whereas the Republicans will be operating on 1. But again, that's why there's tension.
Yeah, because they're on different levels. They have different interests.
Yep.
And so my question is for you, what does one do? And I'm asking our viewers this as well.
Mhm.
What does one do when the decision that you want to make actually contradicts the society standard and your moral
I
standard?
think they call those ethical dilemmas.
I mean, because we got a great example of one, and I want to show
Yeah,
them.
yeah, we can roll it. Yeah.
Yeah, so because this is where it got real like crazy. Like, what do you do? Like, we'll talk more after it.
You're a boy, right?
No, I'm a girl.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy,
When did she tell you you were a girl?
'cause I love girls.
Oh, I see. So mommy told you you were a girl?
Uh-huh.
The state of California says that I have to pay for the chemical and physical castration of my son as child support. I'm not going to pay that child support. I'm not going to pay anything to hurt my son.
And that means you'll be going to prison?
California is going to send me to prison for that.
So, Jeff, you are going through something, you've been going through something that is probably a father's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Tell me when this started.
Started when my son was about 2 years old. My ex-wife, who's a pediatrician in Coppell, Texas, started thinking that he might be a girl and started trying to transition him to a girl. And when I tried to put a stop to that, she filed for divorce and used her relationships with care providers to force me out of my house. And so I moved about a mile up the road from my sons. She filed for divorce formally, and I had 50-50 custody of him. And just after his third birthday, I took the first iPhone video I'd ever taken, and it was him telling me that he thought he was a girl because his mommy tells him a girl. You can go on YouTube and just search for "Mommy Says I'm a Girl." You'll find that video. She was telling him things like, she would put him into timeout and say, "Don't be a boy. The monsters only eat boys," and weird things like this. And she began to then socially transition him, and that led to a titanic battle in the state of Texas that culminated in me getting the procedures outlawed in Texas. And the political establishment in Texas allowing her to come to California so she could still castrate him even though I got it outlawed.
Had your son, you have two sons.
I have two sons, James and Jude. They're twins. They're not identical. James is the one that she's transitioning.
And was there any sign in James that he was open to this or showing signs that he wanted to be anything other than
Well, it's interesting. So he was directly asked that by counselors and stuff. But let me just tell you about one of the fundamental facts of the case that a lot of people find shocking. James never presented as a girl with anyone but his mom. At church, with me, with his friends, he dressed as a boy and called himself James. He only presented as a girl with his mom. And I asked him one time, "Why are you doing that?" And he just flat out told me, he said, "Well, mommy doesn't love me if I'm not a girl." And that's what he told the counselors too. James is a very talented boxer. I'm a boxer, my dad was a boxer. James is extremely talented. Jude's a wrestler, but James is a very talented boxer. Olympic talent scouts were looking at him. He's that good. And they backed away from him once this all got started. He has all boyfriends. Now, he has some things that you might say are feminine. He likes art. He particularly likes painting and pastels. My son Jude likes sculpture, James is also more extroverted and is willing to play with almost anybody, And he will definitely play with girls. He'll play tag with girls. He'll build things with girls. He has no problem like hanging around with girls. But in terms of having a desire to be a girl, he consistently told me for 10 years that he had no desire to be a girl. He told the court-appointed counselor that he was embarrassed to wear dresses to school. He was getting too old for that and didn't want to wear dresses. And they initiated a CPS investigation against me for forcing him to be a boy, and my 7th CPS investigation.
And do you have contact with your sons now?
No, I'm disallowed all contact with my sons.
You're not allowed to even contact them?
No. I'll tell you how this all sort of built up. So she started transitioning him, really hardcore at 3. I mean, where she presented him to the world with a fake girl's name and everything. This, of course, would have been an important component in the divorce that was going on. So we get to 2017, and we have our divorce trial, and we had a custody evaluator. His name is Blake Mitchell. He practices out of Frisco, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. And he asked me, what is your top issue? And I said, my top issue is she's tampering with my son's gender identity. So he charges me $60,000 and does a 1-year investigation of my family, interviewing my children over and over again, everything, and determines that she was not transitioning my son to a girl. He straight up lied to the court and said that I had made a false accusation against her for saying that she was trying to transition my son to a girl. And on that basis, I lost 50-50 custody and got less than standard possession time. So I basically got, 4 to 6 days a month with my sons. So that's how the divorce ended, with the psychologist just outright lying. Now, I've been lucky with these psychologists that lie. I've been able to prove they've lied, so the court actually set aside his report. But that's what he actually told the court in his report. So she then starts really ramping up it again, and now he's wearing makeup to school. He's using the girls' restroom at his elementary school, which was Pinkerton Middle School in Coppell, Texas. I got that school shut down. That school doesn't exist anymore in Coppell. They shut down. Got rid of the principal there. Her name is Miss Mickelson, who's the one that really transitioned my son. And I found out after 2.5 years, they had been transitioning my son secretly behind my back. So I would bring my son to Pinkerton Middle School in Coppell in boys' clothes, because he wears boys' clothes with me, and they would give him a dress and tell him to use the girls' bathroom. And when I found that out, I filed grievances against the public school. And of course, they exonerated themselves, saying that under their nicknames policy, they're allowed to call him whatever he wants. And they're allowed to put him in dresses because he wants to wear it and it doesn't harm him in any way. And so there was just no place to go. It's virtually impossible in Texas to sue a school district because they have sovereign immunity. So this kept ramping up with my ex-wife until finally I look in the medical records with my ex-wife chose a pediatrician, Dr. Jennifer Pape, in Flower Mound, Texas, where I live. And Dr. Pape, in the medical records, it says that her and Miss Georgelis, my ex-wife, were planning on chemically castrating James at age 8 or 9. That's plain black and white in the medical records. So obviously I start to vociferously oppose this. I try to get a new pediatrician. I have to go to court to try to get a new pediatrician. That leads her to file another lawsuit against me for sole control of James.
So they were at what age were they looking to do this?
At age 8 or 9, they were going to chemically castrate him.
That's what we call an ethical dilemma.
That is a huge ethical dilemma. So here you have a man that had a child. Now, correct me if I'm right. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. He has a son
in Texas. That the states is important as well.
Yeah, it's very important.
So he started. Him and his ex-wife had 2 sons.
Yeah,
in Texas.
2 sons in Texas. Matter of fact, you tell a story.
So him and his wife had 2 sons. Him and his ex-wife, they had 2 sons in the state of Texas. He says when the son was about 2 is when he began to notice that when the youngest son was with the mom, that he would be projecting as a little girl. He obviously addressed this with his ex-wife, and she has her moral reasoning and judgment said that, oh, well, if he wants to be a girl, then he can be a girl. Dad's like, nah, he's not a girl, he's a boy. You know what I mean? So that's how the mom and the dad.
So she's going along with society and
societal norms or the trends of now, or the wokeness,
and he's staying
happy-go-lucky feel
too.
Exactly.
Okay.
For the most part. So then, long and short of it, they obviously the parents of this little boy are now bumping heads, but the mom is still moving forward on this transition. She wants her son to be a daughter.
Right, because another self interest of hers.
Right, personal gain. Right,
personal gain, because she had two boys and always
Well,
wanted one boy and one
based
girl.
on the context, and like now the dad didn't necessarily say that she wanted, but the how he was talking and the
Okay.
context of the conversation was alluding to the fact that the mom wanted a daughter, but the mom didn't want to have another kid. So I had two sons, but I'm gonna just turn one of my sons into a daughter. Obviously, mom and dad didn't agree, so they bumping heads, and so then they get a divorce. But again, the mom was still trying to do the transition, but the dad is just like no. So then the dad goes on an offensive and basically gets the whole concept outlawed in his region or state of Texas. The whole the transitioning of the child, the right for that to happen. He got that outlawed, and he also got the school district, or either the school or the school district in which the kid was going to, because that was the other caveat. As the kid was getting older and going to school, he would send the youngest son to school dressed as a boy, quote unquote. But then when the administration would then give his son clothes to change into, so he can put on like girl clothes, like dresses,
not just clothes.
Yeah,
they gave him
dresses.
dresses. Can
And
you
then-
believe that?
But then the son, as the son started getting older, he was like, "Yeah, I'm outgrowing these dresses. I don't really like that." But then the mom was just like, "Nah, you're gonna be a girl though." But come to find out, the mom had been basically telling the son, like, she said, the monsters come for boys. So you need to be a girl, act like a girl. So that's why because that's another thing the dad said. The son only projected himself being a quote unquote girl only when he was with the mom.
Right.
But the reason why the little boy did that, because in so many words, the mom told him that she can only love him if he acted like a girl.
In so many words, right.
So going back to the point now, moral reasoning of the three parties involved: the father, the mother, and the son. Now the son is the son; he's a kid. At best, in the video, I think when they was recorded, the dad had said the son was 10. So this was from 2 to 10. So this is an 8-year process.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the son's moral reasoning is that on just trying to avoid punishment. He don't know no better. He just want to make mom and dad happy. So that's why
He just want to be.
That's why he's being a girl when he's with mom, but he's being a boy when he's with everybody else.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because he's just trying to maintain the peace, avoid the punishment. The mom, though, seems to be operating at
Which is level 1, avoid punishment.
Right, level 1. The mom seems to be acting out on level 2 and 3 in that she wants the personal gain that comes from self-interest, but she's also seeking the approval of society that is trending with this wokeness or this, feelings politics.
Right.
And she's trying to be seen as a good mom
Mm-hmm.
by others.
Right. Right.
Not her son or the father, but other people outside of the family.
Right. Outside of the core family.
Outside of the core family. That's why her decisions and judgments is rooted in just her own self-interest, as well as a desire to look good or be perceived as good by everyone around her. Because again, I think he said the mom, she was in like the healthcare field as well.
Okay.
But
wait, it gets better.
It
gets better, y'all.
She had, because she worked in the healthcare field, and she was actually able to campaign for, because again, this is a problem. Like you said, I think he said he had to pay like $60,000 for some psychologist to evaluate his son, but the psychologist lied on the report. But he was able to prove the psychologist lied, because again, the son, because the psychologist was saying that the dad was making it up, that the son didn't want to, that the son wanted to be a boy. That's what the psychologist that he paid $60,000 for. I said he had made the dad had made that up. But again, the mom was working the system because the mom knows the healthcare professionals. So the mom was going and gaining favor with the healthcare professionals to side with her,
right,
against the dad.
Yeah.
So that's why the dad. But again, the dad eventually won in the state of Texas. So that's why the mom moved to California.
Right.
Now the mom's in California. She reopened the case in California. That's why in the beginning he says the state of California wants me to pay for my son to be chemically castrated, and I'm not doing it. So at that point,
it's part of the child support. It's
And
not,
right, that's
as
right.
far as that's key.
Yeah,
In the state of California, the part of the child support was that he has to assist in paying for the castration of his own son and medical
hmm
and
whatever the medical
whatever
procedure,
chemical
right.
thing they do, whatever.
So we got multiple levels of moral reasoning happening here, which is
So
why the mom and the dad came. Because again, the dad is operating on a higher level, in that he's operating on he wants to protect his son's basic human rights.
but the father has to make a decision, and I think that's the
Well, he made the decision because he said, "I'm not paying."
well he said they're gonna put him in jail.
Yeah, but that's my point, because level 5 and level 6, which is the highest levels of moral reasoning, is so level 6 universal principle, where the dad is willing to go to jail as a demonstration of his moral reasoning, that no, my son is a son. I have proven that the mom is basically, influencing him to act like a little girl. He ain't trying to be the little girl, but the mom is influencing him to act like a little girl. I have proven this, and I've proven it to the point where she had to change states because the state of Texas wasn't hearing her case no more. They basically dismissed it. So she changed states to go
Right.
keep pushing this line. Because again, the dad lives in the state of Texas.
Right.
He don't live in California.
Right.
But again, the state of California is still levying their laws on this man that lives in Texas. So that's why he's saying that, the state of California will put me in prison. They're gonna put me in prison because I'm not gonna pay. But my question then would be like, well, is the state of Texas gonna extradite him?
I don't know.
This is like, but it's the ethical dilemma.
That's
Moral
like
reasoning.
that's what makes it so confusing. Is like, so what do one decide in that situation? Like, do you obey the law? Because
that would be stage 1, level 1.
Because child support is a legal
It is a
mandate,
legal judgment, right.
that you have to adhere to. If
Mhm.
not, there's consequences and repercussions, garnishment of wages,
Yep.
confinement, restriction of passports and licenses and things of that nature. Do you go with what society say to do is, pay the child support, or do you stand for what you feel and what you know within yourself is right,
Mm-hmm.
and protect the integrity of your son?
Mm-hmm.
And
should I be like?
But I
5
just thought
and
about
6?
something. Like, even if he go to jail, she's still going to do what she's going to do
That's
with
my
the son.
point, right?
So that don't even like.
So
I just thought about that. So going to jail was not even going to stop that from happening.
because based upon how he's talking, the mom has custody of the kids,
Right.
So they're with her.
She's just trying to get him to pay. That's crazy. She's just trying to get him to pay for this shit.
Yeah.
Ain't that some shit? Like, yo, you can't make this shit up though. It's 2025. Like, you would have never heard a scenario like this maybe
20 years ago,
20 years ago.
10 years ago.
It's like, I can't believe that this is something so substantial and so prevalent in our society. It's crazy.
Now, here's a big takeaway, ladies and gentlemen. These ethical dilemmas are things we all have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But the decision that you get to, regardless of the situation that you in, is going to be based upon your level of moral reasoning.
Right.
So again, level 1 being you make decisions ultimately to avoid punishment. Level 2 being you make decisions or judgments for personal gain. Level 3 is seeking approval or conformity to societal norms or the people around you. Level 4 was maintaining order. Level 5 was protecting basic human rights and democratic values, and then level 6 was operating off of the universal principles that you believe in. So that's where the dad is at right now.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't care. Because again, level 6 was operating based upon your belief in your universal principles, regardless, especially if they go against the social norms and laws.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the dad is at right now, saying that I'm not going to do it.
And
in the name of protecting the integrity of my son.
And when you research these levels, there's more explanations. Like each level has 2 sub levels to each one, which gives you more perspective and more in-depth description and explanation of what it entails and what it's actually pertaining to. So just knowing things like this, just helps you be a more rounded person in
Develop
conversations,
higher quality relationships.
higher quality relationships, where you could, in relationships, it helps a lot with the other person, understanding the person that you with. Because it seems like when people are in relationships, partnerships, friendships, business partnerships, a lot of the misunderstanding comes from them not understanding the perspective that the other person is coming from.
Yes.
So once you understand the need of anyone that you're in any encounter with, once you understand what their want is, what they're passionate about, where they're coming from, their point of view, their interest, is easier to deal with whatever the situation is at hand. Because I know you want this.
Yes.
I know you want this. I know you coming from, this perspective. I know. So therefore, all right, let's deal with that and let's see what my interest is, where I'm coming from, and then we'll work from there. We'll start from there, both knowing what my interests are and I know what yours are. Then that way we can come to a conclusion.
Yep. So
it's deep. It's a lot. I don't know if we did it justice, but y'all go ahead and look it up and do your research.
So final takeaway, ladies and gentlemen, as we said in the beginning, the level that you get to is ultimately based upon your level of cognitive development, your level of socialization, and then the cultural values in which you embrace. That's what's going to determine how high on this on these levels that you are going to get to. Now, the average man and woman, the average human, I'll just say, ideally they reach level 4, at best level 5. But it's a fluid situation in that, again, how we come to our sense of morality is based upon convenience. It's not based upon good or bad, beautiful, ugly, right or wrong. Now, even though we do say morality is having a sense of right and wrong, but again, every individual human being's sense of right and wrong is influenced by their cultural values,
conveniences,
the conveniences, their cognitive development, and then the socialization of the environment that they were in. So that's why we can't just like that whole phrase, common sense. Like common sense ain't so common.
My aunt used to say that all the time. I never knew what she meant.
I never knew what she meant until now. You know what I'm saying? Because and that's basically what that whole saying is getting at, in that you just can't live on autopilot. And that's what I'm realizing is what's happening and why people end up bumping heads and crashing out. Because again, people get so comfortable in their own, moral reasonings and judgments that they start thinking that everybody around them shares the same thought or level of moral reasoning. So that's why a lot of times when people, I notice this predominantly in women though, where they'll say things. So case in point, like I saw a clip earlier where it was basically a guy who the baby mama had hit him up in the morning at like 3 or 4, literally 2 or 3 in the morning, like, oh, can you give me $20 so I can go buy the baby because the baby needs some diapers. Then he was just like, man, don't call me at this late. I'm with my woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. Like, unless it's an emergency with the child. Like that's something that can wait till tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then I post you gotta, respect each other's boundaries. But again, all the comments that went against what I was saying, because I was basically saying his wallet, his choice, and then
his wallet, his choice.
Yeah, his wallet, his choice. And then secondly was I said if they're obviously not together and she knows that he's with another woman, and she probably knows, and I would imagine in most baby mamas,
I call bullshit. That bitch wanted some weed. She wanted to get something to drink. Cause
what baby needs is up at 2 o'clock in the morning anyway.
A baby could be up, but that baby ain't had no Pampers at 11, 12, or 1 a.m. How you get to 2 a.m. and then you call somebody say I need a pay when he ain't shit for the past 6-7 hours?
That's actually a good point.
I call bullshit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think
bullshit. She was being the fuck smart. She probably could have been in her feelings and knew that they was together, or knew they was doing something, or maybe had a situation the day before and then wanted to just wanted
Just
to be
right,
an
right,
asshole.
right.
Yep.
So that's why, and that's the only reason why I came down where I came down, because I'm just, I mean, I felt there was some BS behind it as well. That's why I was just like, nah, like if he ain't saying he ain't gonna do it, but he's just saying he ain't gonna do it right now. You know
Right,
what I'm
because
saying?
like you were my godson. If he going, I put him to bed 10, 11 o'clock. I know he don't got no Pampers. I know in the morning I got to go get some Pampers, and you know you either going
Right.
you go to bed with those Pampers on, and then you know you get up and we gonna if you shit, we take the pamper off, and we just gonna have to
Put a towel on.
put something on you till we get to the
Yeah,
to get some
right.
Pampers, or you keep that pamper on. You know if it's pee, you might keep the pissy pamper on them until you can get to the store or whatever the case may be. Yeah, that I ain't buying that one.
I remember I saw somebody make a pamper out of Kotex one time,
A Kotex,
like the woman's
a
pad,
tamp. Oh, a maxi pad.
the maxi pad. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Kotex. Well, the brand is Kotex.
Oh, I
I only
guess
know this because I be shopping. The brand was Kotex, but yeah, I've seen them. And they basically put the Kotex pad, and then like they took some tissue and just wrapped the Kotex pad up around the baby, and it looked like a pamper, but it was tissue.
they got they got reusable diapers.
Yeah.
That you just wash off. But anyway, we getting off topic. Yeah. But check out this Lawrence Kohlberg's
Go do your
theory.
own homework. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting read.
Yep.
So moving on to the next topic. That brings us to our next topic: the traditional path to financial poverty. Go to school, get a job, buy a house, retire at 65. Sounds like success, right? Then why are so many people broke? We will expose the financial trap hidden inside society's proven path to success. From student loans to credit card debt, home ownership myths, and paycheck to paycheck cycles. We're asking, is the system broken, or was it never meant to work for you in the first place? Let's dive into that.
That's like a great. I mean, great ending to the intro. That was good. That was good because you hit the nail on the head. This is a topic that I've personally been interested in, and I've been studying and researching my whole adult life because it was a question that I had for myself growing up. Like, how do you how do you become successful? Because in my mind, success meant freedom. It didn't necessarily mean having a bunch of money. It just meant freedom. So money is a tool, not the outcome.
Right.
So my thing was like freedom. It wasn't necessarily money. But then what I began to realize was that, to your point, everybody that was living the life that we are told that we're supposed to be lived, the American dream at the end of the day, those people, when I was growing up, always seemed to be the ones who had the most problems.
Yeah.
Like they was always struggling, they never had enough, nothing was ever enough.
Yeah.
And they was always trying to go do something else or just looking for some hustle, willing to take a penitentiary chance, as we like to call them. It was a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the best of both worlds in that, I had my grandparents. So, my grandfather, he retired the year I was born. So I saw him and my granny living their life, and but they were more entrepreneurial.
Yeah, they were different.
They were different.
The system.
Now they still did the what the system did. They just did one thing differently than most people.
What's that?
They didn't play it safe.
Good. That's good. I'm glad
they took advantage of opportunities.
Good.
And and the opportunity that they specifically took advantage of was the opportunity to be financially literate and to invest their money.
Right.
That was the opportunity that they took advantage of. Because again, my grandfather retired from the post office, which is a regular job like most people have.
Mm-hmm.
And my granny, she was basically administrative services for the LA County Sheriff, which is a regular job, civil service job like most people have. But again, they were able to get ahead because they weren't trying to play it safe.
And that's the key. Like you can't play it safe and just go with the norm, because the norm isn't designed for us in the first place.
Yes.
The norm isn't designed for us to have financial freedom or to have, lavish lifestyles or, just experience the the grander things of life,
The finer things of
the
life,
finer
right?
things.
Right.
The system is to keep you on the schedule, on the cycle as a worker bee.
Yep.
Busy, 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 buzz, buzz, buzz. As a bee does, and then you look up. You don't went to school for 12 years.
Yep.
Then
6 figures in debt.
6 figures in debt from school. Then you go get a house, right? You in debt to the house because you got to, take out a loan for the house. So now you're paying the mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Your payments on the student loans.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have some people. Like I was blessed to have my student loans forgiven, and I'm glad they did because I don't know if I would even paid them that shit back because it's just ridiculous. But I have a friend of mine and one of my cousins, and a friend of mine, she told me she pays about $500 a month
Mm-hmm.
towards student loans. My cousin, she said she's been paying like $450 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Some people pay like about $600 a
Mm-hmm.
month, and all that isn't even going to the principal.
Mm-mm.
Most of
it
that
is not going to principal.
right. Most of it
It's
is going to interest.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy.
But that's the trap that we unknowingly put ourselves in.
It's crazy that they are allowed to do this to us and have us like pigeonholed in these mind frames and
These paradigms, right.
economic, strongholds
Mhm.
where we can't get above.
Mhm.
You're forced to live paycheck to paycheck,
Mhm.
and then they say, okay, get credit. Here go credit card. You've been
Just
paying
dig
your
in the deeper
student
hole.
loan, and it's like, hey, I seen something where they said it was an Indian guy. He said the average Indian makes $1 to spend 20 cents. America makes $1 to spend $2.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
definitely
you
see
know what I'm
where
saying?
I'm picking up what he's putting down.
Yeah, so it was like our whole mindset is just ass backwards when it comes
And it
to
really is ass backwards. And to prove it, we don't need a new iPhone every year.
no.
We don't need the new Camaro. The every year is something new. Every time you call the cable company, oh, we got the new router out. What's wrong with the other one? Oh, it's just outdated. But that's the way. But the system is designed to do that. But we just not conscious of that. We looking at it as just like, because again, we've been programmed to be consumers. At the
Oh
end
yeah,
of
we
the day.
got to be up on
So
everything.
we gotta have the nice things because again, our American culture basically tells us that in order to be successful, you gotta demonstrate it with what you can buy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and what you have
And
makes
what you have
defines who
defines
you are.
your status and your class. So if you can make the money to live at a house on the hill in the gated community, and you can buy luxury vehicles, and you're successful. And then those people feel successful, and to the point where then they go out into the real world and I have my Louis Vuitton this, or my Escalade that, or my luxury this, or I went to Turk, like whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? They start to, but again, that's just them not realizing that you're just a pawn in their game.
Yeah,
Like a pawn, not a king or a queen or a boss. You're a pawn.
And the system has its place. Like you can operate in the system, but like you said with your grandparents, they had the system going on, but they in addition to knew how to take chances, knew how to make investments, knew how to take a risk, and foreseeing something bigger and better on the horizon.
My granny, she always tells me that it was a Jewish lady that put them on to their first properties because where they lived at the time. Because again, my grandfather's vision was just to own property. Like when he came from the South, that was what he always said. It was like my vision was just to own some property, so that when I invited my dad out west, I would be able to show him, what I had done. That was it. And then, like I said, with that vision, they moved forward. He found his bride. He found his bride, my granny, and then they worked together. They collaborated together because growing up, I always thought that it was the Pawpaw was the band was the leader of the band, but it come to find out it was actually Granny who was more I would just say more stable one. So it's like my grandfather, he had the ideas, but my granny, she had the stability in that she just was more of a saver than he was.
I had a question about your grandparents
Talk to me.
today. It came across my mind. Because I put
I was gonna say something.
I put my Arkansas hat on.
Representing the old Magnolia.
So, how often did they live in the house in Arkansas? Was that a house that they lived in for a long period of time?
That is our vacation home.
Oh, excuse. I was thinking about that. Like, so how long did they live there for? 10 years, 15 years?
That was only our vacation.
Was that where Auntie Rhonda was raised, or was that they moved up here when she was 7?
So we built that. Because every summer my grandparents would drive from California to go visit her parents, my granny's mother and father, who were still living at the time. That was what they did every summer.
Shout out to Emerson, right?
Shout out to Emerson. They drove from Los Angeles to Emerson every year, but eventually, you know, and this was like well after my grandfather and my granny like had it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is well after they had it.
Okay.
Had it as far as like they stacks was up. They had that quote unquote bag. But my grandfather, the way he tells the story was just like, yeah, you know, we would go, back to go visit her family every summer, and all my other relatives, Uncle Willie's, Uncle Norris's, and all the other uncles and aunts who've since passed, we would all come down there. So it'd be like, so my granny, my great grandfather and grandmother, they had 9 kids, and so it'd be like 7 of the kids plus all their kids and their grandkids. So it could be like 30 of us in a 2-bedroom, no, 1, 2. It was 30 of us for a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom house in Emerson at the house at the house we went to. So I guess one of them summers my grandfather had enough of it, and he was like, you know what, we need to buy our own.
You talking about at your grandmother's mother's house?
Yeah. When we took you over there on 44, but on 46 I should say. But at some point my grandfather was like, nah, we need to build our own house. Like we need our own space when we come down here, since we know we're gonna be coming down here. So then in the 90s, I think the early 90s, they built the house.
Wow.
And I remember getting the
like just stop right there. Like, so in the early 90s, they built a house from the ground up.
Yeah.
You know, that's not went and rented a house.
But here's as you said that, and I thought about it. I remember when they got like the home planning books, and I remember the layout that they actually built was one of the ones I remember saying like, I like this one.
Oh wow, that's cool.
I like this layout because again, it was a family affair.
Yeah.
You know, we just going through the books.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it, the one that I at least me, I remember saying the layout of the house that you've been to. I remember saying like, yeah, I like this house. I like this plan. I like this floor plan. It has 5 bedrooms. It has 3 bathrooms. It has, I like this one. And that's the one they did eventually end up building. But again, to bring it back home, the only reason why they was able to do that is because they didn't play it safe.
Yeah.
They focused on taking advantage of opportunities.
And they had a little more insight or education, where they came from, a Jewish woman or
that was part of that opportunity though, which is I'm realizing most people in our community don't take advantage of, which is networking
conversations
with people outside of your culture
and listening,
right?
Yeah.
Taking their wisdom to heed and applying it,
right?
Which is what my grandparents did. And fast forward 30, 40, 50 years later, we've been able to build up the family business to they built up the family business to what it is now. To where now, it's just now on us, the next generations, just to keep it and maintain it,
right?
And ideally expand upon it to make it bigger and better,
right?
For the future generations.
Yeah. So these generations that are coming up now, and I think they understand it.
They do.
They get it. They see that there's no future. They see that that's a dead end to do this whole college for 4 to 8 years and, come out and get this job. Number one, the degrees don't hold that much weight these days. The jobs aren't there that support the degrees that they're offering.
Yep.
And the money is being made in something that they're not even teaching you in college.
That part. And I think that's what makes traditional formal education a scam to me. It's not education itself, right? Right.
It's not evolving with the times.
Exactly.
So there should be more classes now about podcasts and
AI.
online AI
Yeah.
and what's the phrase for when you selling stuff? What you say?
Sales.
But on online, you call it something marketing.
Oh, digital marketing.
Yeah.
So, and actually, I'm glad you said that, because case in point, when the education and the curriculums are taking too long to be updated, I remember I graduated from college in 2007, and that was right when things like YouTube and Facebook was in its infancy.
Yeah.
Instagram hadn't even came out yet.
Nope.
It's like we had MySpace and Black Planet.
Mm-hmm.
It was Black Planet, then it was MySpace, then it was Facebook. That's what I remember. Then it was like YouTube and stuff. But I'm saying that to say that back then, you had to literally, since digital marketing, internet marketing was still pretty much in its infancy. I remember like the information wasn't widely available. There was no collegiate programs. There was nothing about digital marketing.
Mm-mm.
Nothing like nothing about internet marketing, digital marketing. Anything you wanted to learn about that, you had to like go do it on your own. So informal education, not formal education. Then fast forward, a decade and a half, let's just say 2015 forward, I started noticing billboards from schools like UCLA and USC promoting digital marketing degrees.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like y'all 15 years too behind.
Right.
Like this industry's been popping for
the past 15 years.
15 years, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all just now catching on to this.
Mm-hmm.
But again, up until all them 15 years, I remember people still being of the thought that the internet was a child's toy.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember that. People didn't even take it seriously. It was like it was a fad to most people.
It was an extracurriculum thing where
it wasn't real.
It was obsolete. You could take it serious or not. The internet was just something for you to play on.
Mm-hmm.
It was never presented.
That was literally it. Something to play on.
It was never presented, because
as a business tool.
I'm a little bit older than you, so I remember.
Right.
I remember when there was no internet at all.
Right. Right.
And so when our definition of computer was playing
DOS,
was playing
right.
Oregon Trail.
Yeah, facts. I remember that on the old DOS. You had C://Windows.exe.
So that made our generation like fuck this computer shit, because it was
too much. Right. Too much.
And then it became the internet and stuff came around, and then the Black Planet and the MySpace, and then it still became fun. It was like a fun thing. It wasn't nothing that you could ever think to take serious. And I think if it was presented that way, more people in our generations would have applied themselves, and maybe we will probably be in a better state now.
So going back to what I said in the beginning, the difference between playing it safe and taking advantage of opportunities.
Right.
The people who took advantage of the infancy of the internet are now the Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes, they are.
The Jeff Bezos.
Yes, they are. That's why you see a lot of them
Elon Musk
are young, and they just like regular like people that just took. So anytime there's a change, there's always a chance,
always an opportunity.
That's why we talk about jumping on this AI train.
Yep.
Because that's coming, and
And shouts out to the Earn Your Leisure, Rashad and Bilal and Ian. They actually just did an episode where they were saying that we as in Americans of African descent, we're losing out on the AI opportunity. Right. We're losing out on the AI arms race because we're not taking advantage of the opportunity.
Right.
So that's specifically now our community. That's the main reason why we lose. Yeah. It's because we don't take advantage of the opportunities.
We ain't playing no video.
I was just about to say that. So let's run that one clip just to show what inspired the topic, which was what my man doing AI.
I recently saw a bunch of creators ask AI a question, and I wasn't sure if it was staged, so I did it myself, and I'll show you the result. The question they supposedly asked was, how do you keep someone financially trapped or poor after they do everything that society tells them to do. I thought this was interesting, so I specifically asked, quote, how can someone become financially trapped or poor after doing what society tells them to do? I got 7 things to keep someone trapped in middle-class poverty. It says, quote, society often pushes a standard playbook for success. Go to school, get good grades, attend college, land a stable job, buy a house, and save for retirement. Don't get me wrong, that formula works for many people, but there are some flaws where people can fall through the cracks. Number 1, education and student debt. Your parents or grandparents probably said that, college is the golden ticket, like it says here, but tuition costs have skyrocketed over 140% over the last 20 years. And you know why? It's because of your parents and grandparents, because they're willing to pay any price and go to any lengths for you to get a college degree. It doesn't matter how much you pay, it's going to be worth it. The fact that there is no limit or criteria to determine a budget for education is a big red flag. Like it says below, quote, people borrow heavily thinking it's an investment, only to graduate with $30,000 to $100,000 in debt and a job that pays $40,000 a year if they're lucky. It's true, it's almost impossible to escape poverty or middle-class poverty when you have college payments that eat up a quarter of your pay. Number 2, job market misalignment. You're told that any college degree will do, but that is definitely not true. Because of the giant marketing machine of which your parents, grandparents, and teachers are a part of, quote, many fields don't translate to high-paying jobs. Meanwhile, trades like plumbing or welding, which society often downplays, can out-earn white-collar gigs. Not saying that trades are perfect, just saying that it's not always college. The third one is 100% true. I've seen this happen. Housing pressure. Quote, buy a house, it's an investment. The problem is, it is not an investment. It is a consumer product. It is a consumption item. Just like student loans, saying that it's an investment and being willing to pay any price is a good way to go nowhere fast. Another problem here is, quote, median U.S. home price hits $400,000 in 2024 while wages stagnate, median household income around $74,000. There is no reason for home prices to be correlated with income. A primary residence is a consumer product. It is consumption. It's not an investment. It is not a business that sells a product or service and generates profit for shareholders. As a consumption item, it is correlated with wealth. The wealthier someone becomes, the more housing they can afford. There's a reason why 66% of people own homes, but only 1% are actually rich. And renting's not a solution. No one said renting was a solution. Renting is cheaper, but it doesn't solve all the problems. Shelter is an expense that you need to minimize regardless of whether you buy or rent. And investing is something you need to do whether you buy or rent. If you have nothing left over to invest after you buy or rent, you're going to have problems. 4, consumerism and lifestyle creep. Quote, society equates success with stuff, cars, gadgets, vacations. Always remember that the rich can pretend to be poor longer than the poor can pretend to be rich. If you can see what someone is buying, I can guarantee you they're not getting richer because that money has been spent and it is not invested. Poor people literally buy luxury items to impress other poor people. Buying a luxury car to drive to your 9 to 5 is not a flex. Keeping up with the Joneses and status is a huge emotional trigger. It is a big money maker under capitalism. Try and avoid it if you can. 5 is a huge one. Lack of financial education. Don't know how to solve this one. There is no incentive for teachers to teach you how to become financially literate. The Board of Education will not teach you how to become financially literate. It is beside the point. Remember, the education system is designed to create workers to drive the economy. That means you need to work 40 hours a week until you die in order to grow GDP. Education system is not designed for you to learn how to invest and then live off passive income for the rest of your life. That would destroy the economy. That is not the point. Because of numbers 1 to 5, many people cannot withstand number 6, economic shocks, recession, emergencies. Half of Americans can't even cover $1,000. Number 7 is related to number 5, financial education. Quote, work hard, save in your 401k, retire at 65. For Canadians, that's the RSP or TFSA. Problem is, no one teaches you how to use these instruments. What do I invest in? How do I use them? When do I withdraw? How much do I put in? When do I put it in? Very interesting exercise. Not very surprising, but I hope you enjoyed it. Learn the lessons about money that no one's going to tell you. Download my free newsletter linked off the bio. Good luck. Take care.
All right, so he gave it to you, plain as he could. It's a trap.
And just to make sure that he wasn't jigging us, I did it myself on my own chat OpenAI. I asked my ChatGPT the same question, and I got the same response. So it wasn't a fad.
I encourage you to do the same thing.
Yeah, do it for yourself.
Type in your AI, whoever you have, whether it's DeepSeek or Bing or
Mm-hmm.
Chat GPT
Yeah.
or see what they say.
Gronk.
Right.
And just see what it says. It's literally the question that he asks. Just put that same question into whatever AI platform that you want to use, and see what it says. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna get the same responses. Because, like I said, like he said, he was interested. I was intrigued, and I was interested too. And I wanted to fact check it myself, so I did it, and I got the same responses. And after I read that, it just like I felt like my whole life came crashing down on me, because I was like, this is the answer I have been looking for, because for 20 years, this is what I've been seeing. I didn't necessarily have the words myself to articulate it for these last 20 years, but unbeknownst to me, like that was a question I had been trying to answer for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
Personally.
and it makes sense. This
It makes
whole
perfect sense.
this whole game plan they got makes sense.
Playbook, as he said.
Look, check this out. So we'll put you in schools that teach you how to be a worker.
Mhm.
We're not teaching you how to be
Critical thinkers,
thinkers,
creative thinkers.
entrepreneurs,
Right.
or nothing like that. We're teaching you how to be workers. So you work, you go to school, 12 years, then you go to school for another 4 years that you pay for those the latter 4.
And in some cases, depending upon your area, they want you to
Sometimes
pay for the K
private
through
school.
12.
Yep. Some because I was in Catholic school till 7th grade, and my mom had to pay for that for sure. Then you get to college, and then you go into your first big amount of debt.
Mm-hmm.
You get these student loans.
Yep.
All right, so that's the first hook they got on.
And then they tell you it's okay to get into debt because this is an investment in your future.
Yeah, you're gonna graduate with a degree, and you're gonna make 6 figures.
You're gonna be able to get a good job.
Get a good job.
Don't even worry about this loan payment.
A good job where you can work for a corporate company and only get a 3% raise every year.
It'll be well worth it.
It'll be well worth it. So they get you hooked in that. So mine, all along while you doing this, all right, I'm gonna work the job, climb the corporate ladder, boom, boom, boom. So now you gotta eat, and survive, right? So they say we're gonna make the food and stuff here not the healthiest, not the best. So therefore, we could limit your lifespan because you can't. Because we promised to give you Social Security at the end, because that's supposed to be Social Security is supposed to be the bow or the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Yeah. You do this. You go to school. You go get a job, buy a house, and retire and collect your Social Security, and you can sit back and cross your legs and drink lemonade, make a Mai Tai, like I done did it.
I done did it, right?
I done did it. I'm succeeded. But if the life expectancy is, especially for our community, if our life expectancy is under 70,
and a retirement age is 65,
they raised it to 67.
Oh, now so basically they're saying we got 3 years of retirement.
You got you work 65 years to get 3 years. Like,
think about that.
That even makes
you work. That's a good way of putting it. But again, we do that because we think that that's the path to success, because that's what they're telling us is the path to success.
Right, because we
believe it hook, line, and sinker.
Because we've been conditioned to listen,
socialize
to these means. Because they have things implemented like the Bible that tell you will have the poor with you always, and it kind of conditions and makes you content with being in a certain less than
the meek shall inherit the earth.
The meek shall inherit, right? What they say of the color purple, you better bash Mr. in the head and think about heaven lately. Like that's. Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about no pie in the sky. You got to deal with the situation at hand.
Or like Muhammad Ali used to say, like they want our people praying up to this God in the sky where they enjoy heaven on earth.
They enjoy everything right here and right now. and that was one of the things that just blew my mind. Like, because I have a lot of different friends of a lot of ethnicities and economic status, and I've seen the lifestyles of people. I'm talking to one of my co-producers on this project today. He just got a $1,300 camera. He needs to know what to do with this extra $800 that might be going to something else, and it's right. These are things, that's great for him, no slight to him, but his normal experience, like most people don't have that. You know what do you understand what I'm saying? Like that's not normal.
That's not.
That's not normal, and our upbringing. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing, and I love him for it, and I got his back 100%. But it just shows you the dynamics of lifestyles and things that people are afforded to, and he's able to live like that because his parents were able to plan and
They took advantage of
and
some
they
opportunity.
took advantage of the opportunities.
Yes.
Now, granted, we don't know of all the opportunities, and maybe that's why we get stuck in behind the 8 ball. But still, there's a whole different way of life that some people live compared to the way some others live. And it's totally devastating to know, and that's what clicked in my head. I was like, I do not want to go through this life and not live or experience the better side of life, to say to speak, the life that's comfortable and rewarding, and you know what I'm saying, not no fairy tale that I see on TV. So what I had to do, once I got older and started putting two and two together, I had to make these risks. I had to buy these insurance policies. I had to invest in these stocks. I had to get a managed.
You didn't. It wasn't risk. You took advantage of some opportunities.
Yeah, the opportunities I had.
You didn't play it safe.
I had to. When
the stock market can go down.
Yeah, it can go down. I had to invest in a managed money market account. I had to start finding out what are these other people doing, and then I had to follow suit.
Yeah,
and anytime I got a large sum of money, everybody. I drive a K5, and they be like, "Well, why you drive that car?" I was like, "I could drive a GLE. That's the car that I want." You know what I mean? But at what expense? My car is good. It's brand new.
Right.
It ain't had no miles on it, or whatever the case may be. Oh well, you're not staying in the hills. You're not staying in whatever the case may be. Like I could, but no, it's not feasible. Because that's the mistake that we make.
It's not right. It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. So we'll get money and just think that it has to go out the door, but it needs to be strategically placed so that your money is making money for you at all times, even when you're sleeping. You know what I'm saying?
So the next clip we actually go play, it actually talks about that problem.
This is the main cause of poverty. The main cause of poverty or financial struggle is fear and ignorance, not the economy or the government or the rich. It's self-inflicted fear and ignorance that keep people trapped. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. By not giving in to your emotions, you are able to delay your reactions and think. That is important. We will always have emotions of fear and greed. From here on in, it's imperative for you to use those emotions to your advantage, and for the long term, to not let your emotions control your thinking. Most people use fear and greed against themselves. That's the start of ignorance. Most people live their lives chasing paychecks, pay raises, and job security because of the emotions of desire and fear, not really questioning where those emotion-driven thoughts are leading them. It's just like the picture of a donkey dragging a cart with its owner dangling a carrot just in front of its nose. The donkey's owner may be going where he wants to, but the donkey is chasing an illusion. Tomorrow there will only be another carrot for the donkey. Follow for more.
So, everyone's, I'm sure, read that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, that was the first book that changed my whole mindset about my ability to even pursue quote unquote financial freedom. Before reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I had never heard the term.
Yeah.
And I got that book for my birthday from my auntie, my second year in college.
Cool.
So it wasn't until my second year of college that I had even heard the term financial freedom. I learned the term assets, and it was literally Rich Dad Poor Dad that put me on the path that really made me start to realize, like, wait a minute, like, I don't think that they telling us everything.
No way.
They telling us something, but I don't think they telling us everything.
Right.
So like I said, I know the playbook that they gave me, but the guys and the girls, the men and the women that I actually see living the type of lifestyle that I believe I want to live for myself, they didn't follow this playbook.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like they did something outside of the play. You know what I mean? They did something outside of the norm. And so that's what made me start realizing, like, man, like I gotta figure this out.
See, what people have to understand is, this might ruffle some feathers. America was founded on free labor.
Yes.
America has made its position in the world because we're the only country that was able to be a thriving force in the world based on free labor. We didn't have to pay for it.
Yep.
You know, so therefore, that's why they fought so hard to, keep
the institution
of slavery and all those different
and why they created the Jim Crow laws.
That's why they fought so hard, because that would have been a huge economic change and shift. And so therefore, part of that change, you got to replace the free labor with something.
Cheap labor,
or people dumb enough to still do the shit that's going to render the same product. So,
or you can just create laws, like you said. Oh, you gotta if you don't have a job, you're going to prison,
right?
But it's like, well, y'all just turned them out. Y'all know they ain't got no job,
right?
Where you going to prison,
right? But even now, where that's not necessarily the case, but what's more so is the case is the system that we're talking about. They created the system where you willingly participate without knowing, by keeping your education limited, and keeping your nutrition and your healthy mindset, keeping all that limited and attacked,
underdeveloped,
where you're not, the household, the family structures, like we talking
keeping
about,
us divided.
Yeah, all right, let's do that. That'll keep them in a disarray, where all they know is what they have, and if we ain't if all they have is what we give them, and we ain't give them nothing but half truths, lies, and bullshit, and diabetes, of course, what else they gonna come out with? You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we have to take it amongst ourselves, not to be envious of anyone else, not to be jealous, but just to sit back and to deduce what it is that you want for your life, and how do you facilitate that for your life. Like, what does it look like? What is it that you want to do, where you want to be? You know what I'm saying? So, and that's something I had to do, because another thing that was eye-awakening to me in this whole journey, with me losing my mom worked very hard. She worked 2 and 3 jobs. She got a house and paid it off and all this and everything. But she passed away when she was 60, and all that money from Social Security, or from all those years of working, she was so adamant about working. That money goes back to the state.
Right. I think I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, only person that would get you to Social Security is your spouse.
Do the kids still get it?
No, only if the kid is under 18.
Right. Damn.
So
right, but again, that's part of the trap, though. That's part of the trap. Like, we actually we brought that up in the beginning, like the retirement age, because again, we don't know what our futures have in store for us.
Right.
We don't know, like, how long we're going to be here on this thing called planet Earth.
Right.
So we have to start just being more mindful of those things in regards to how we are living our life on a day-to-day basis, and realize that, are we living the dream that we want, or are we living the dream that they're telling us is the dream we're supposed to be living?
Right. Because my thing is, I think all this stuff that they arguing about, men and women's sports and transgender, is
big distraction.
Let's argue. Let's lower this retirement age. Who's standing for that? Can we retire at 45?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
If you only giving me to 70, can we retire at 50? Because that's my trajectory. That's what I'm on track to do. Like, I'm not gonna have to work once I turn 50 years old. God willing, everything go right. This place don't blow up. Right. But that's, you have to set goals like that for yourself, and understand that you're fighting against a system that's not in your best interest. So with that being said, you have to think outside the box, and be a step or two ahead. And you can't get caught up with the smoking the weed and the low vibration.
Yeah.
And the low hanging
fruit. You can't get caught up on your vices,
because there's a lot.
Now here's what I've moving forward is, so to your point, how do we get ahead now? Of course, I ain't figured out all the answers to this question, but What I have learned though so far is, again, the first thing we got to do, the first change or shift or transformation I should say we need to make is transforming from a mindset where we're focused on playing it safe to a mindset where we're focused on taking advantage of opportunities.
Right.
So every time you look at something, ask yourself, is there an opportunity here?
Yeah.
Is there, and specifically, is there an opportunity to create value for others?
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think is what I've learned so far is the third step is you gotta shift your mindset from playing it safe to taking advantage of opportunities to create value for others, and then you gotta go put some action behind that by paying attention, having conversations, looking, observing, and identifying what's what. So, like for example, right now AI is big, but people aren't learning AI. So there's an opportunity right now for someone just to go learn some basic concepts about AI and then go take with those basic concepts which you can learn on a platform like YouTube, and then taking your knowledge and then leveraging that newfound knowledge you have about AI and taking advantage of the opportunity to now go give that value to people who don't have the time, the energy, or just to know how to learn AI themselves.
And stop being scared, like the book said.
Yeah, right. Self-inflicted fear and ignorance.
Fear and ignorance.
But again, the self-inflicted fear and ignorance, it would be someone in this case on the AI example, for example, just saying it's like, oh, AI is it ain't for me, or oh, don't you got to have a degree to do that, or like, oh, don't you got to be smart, or some just dumb excuse in that regards. Like, no, all you need is a vision and a shift in your mindset and a willingness to discipline yourself to create value for others.
Right.
And so one thing that I remember Kevin Samuels used to always say was that as a man, you need to be working 60 hours a week and da-da-da-da. Now, I'm off. You got to work to pay your bills and afford the necessities in life.
Right.
But where I disagree with him on that was your free time. You got to use your free time to learn how to be a value creator, not necessarily trading your time for more money, because time is a finite asset. We all only have 24 hours in a day, and as Sugar Free says, we all got the same 24 hours as Michael Jackson, but most of us choose to be nobody. So we got to take those. So again, let's just say typically we say we work 8 hours, and we'll just give us an hour on the front and on the back end for travel, getting ready. So that's 10 hours.
Yeah.
So usually we sleep for 8 hours. So we basically got about roughly 8 hours a day of quote unquote free time or opportunity time. Now, again, the traditional playbook tells us go get another job with that 8 hours, get you a part-time job and just save your money. But again, we're still not getting ahead because again, time is still limited. There's only so many hours in a day we can work. But if we take those 8 hours and invest in ourselves by learning new things, expanding our network, developing our knowledge, understanding, and skill set, and then taking that and then going out into the world and trying to create value for people who have a problem that we can solve. And then once we figure out how to do that and then, turn that into some sort of business or company, that's how we get ahead.
Right.
Not by just going to work.
Right.
You know what I mean? But so again, to work ourselves out of this situation, we gotta create value. We gotta start thinking in value, not just thinking and trading time for dollars. Because the more we stay in, because that's part of the trap, trading your time for dollars. Because again, there's only so many hours in a day that you have to trade for dollars.
And you know what else is paramount? Who you surround yourself around.
That's the most important part.
You just can't be around the weed heads and the homies, and it's like,
even if you smoke it or if you sniff it, you can't be around it all the time. Another clip.
Yeah, I think we got another clip. A good one too.
Okay.
I think the only option is not working within the system. Stop doing the thing that everybody told us to do when we were young, which is go to university, burn 4 years, and let's call it on the low end, $50,000 in debt that you can never get rid of for a job that pays basically minimum wage at $30,000 to $40,000 a year after you spent $50,000 to get it, then go and try to climb a corporate ladder where people get 3% raises on average, try to buy a house, but you really can't, because if you don't have a W-2 job, then it's really hard to get a loan. If you do have a W-2 job, you probably don't make enough income to get it. And so we have to, as young people, we got to say no. Like, I'm not doing it this way. Become financially independent and intelligent so that you can become the financial institution. Don't go work in a corporate job for somebody else for 3% wages each year. Become more valuable, negotiate your salary. If there's no upside, leave and go somewhere else. And don't rely on traditional university degrees, because they don't teach you business. The best way to learn about business is being in business.
I mean,
she preached.
She was cooking. She was cooking.
She basically said everything we've said so far.
Everything.
So I know a lot of y'all don't want to believe, but maybe somebody.
But maybe she can articulate it a little better. I know I get a little tongue tied, a little muck mouth,
but she basically just said the same thing we've been telling y'all. So
there you have it.
Move accordingly. But as she said though, like we. As an individual, you have to start thinking for yourself. You have to start dreaming for yourself. You got to stop buying into this universal playbook of quote unquote traditional success, because we are moving beyond that. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like our phones and our computers. We get software updates all the time. But when was the last time we had a software update for, how we go about education? How we go about our finances.
And that's the issue that they're finding in this Doge thing.
And the playbook, right? Yeah. Right. Now, on that point, exactly.
Things aren't being updated. Like our power grid is still antiquated. The operating systems that they use to cut checks and delegate the money and resources is antiquated.
Mm-hmm. Everything is antiquated.
Yeah. So
it's like we're trying to create a better future off antiquated concepts and ideals that were created for an environment that no longer exists. So yeah, there was a point in our development where going to college was the route. Where getting a corporate job, it was the route.
I got a college degree.
I got a degree too. I worked in corporate too, but like she was saying, like you're not gonna get ahead by just trading time for money. So thinking that I'm gonna just go to school so I can get a better job, like that's not how you're gonna get ahead. All you're doing is digging yourself into a bigger a debt hole.
A better hole.
Yeah, a deeper hole of debt for you to never pull yourself out of.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, you go think that you went from making 30, 40,000 to 50, 70,000, you go feel like you have, leveled up. But the reality is like, if they paying you, this is what I realized. If a company can afford to pay me $50,000 a year, that must mean they got to be making at least $5 million off of me.
Exactly. I heard someone break that down. Whatever job is paying you, know that they're making at least 10 times.
And that's all I did was I just came up. I just pulled 10x out of my ass.
Right.
But so if they making 30,000 off of me, they most likely making 3 million off my effort.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got to start understanding. And that's what she's basically talking about. Like, again, think about it. Because if you working at a company and it's 10 of y'all that do the job that you do, and y'all all 10 making 50,000, how much are they making off of y'all? 50 million?
You know what? Another reason or another area of money where there's a lot of money. Another industry where you could think like that is television, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think of television and you be like, these people on TV, you on a hit show or something, or even your basic shows that aren't even like hits or whatever. The salaries or the paychecks that some of these people get, or most of the people get, are like astronomical. Like if you could take your reality star that's on, your most popular Real Housewife franchise,
Yeah, the Real Housewives, they be getting paid.
They can get anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million an episode.
Mm-hmm. And that's an episode.
And
they doing at least 10.
That's an episode. So if they're able to give you $1 million an episode, how much money do you think they fucking making? How much you think they getting paid
per episode?
Right. And so that's always something that, with me being a producer and being in production, that was something that always was like kept me wanting to know more or get to that place where, the money is making money, or, I want to be at the top of the food chain. You know what I mean? Because if I could write you $1 million check and you $1 million check,
Exactly.
best believe the check for me got to be at least 100 million.
My thing in life, once I started understanding finances, was I want to be the guy that signs the front of the check, not the back of the check.
That part. I said the same thing too, because I had aspirations when I moved out here to be an actor and all that and all that. And so when I got out here, I was like, once I got into film school and everything, I was like,
the real money is actually not being
it's
on
behind the
screen.
camera.
Yeah.
I said the person in charge, because like myself, a lot of people didn't know what a producer actually does.
Mhm.
Everybody like, what you really don't know what the job of the producer is. And so when I moved out here, that was something that I learned going to film school. Like, I want to be the producer. I want to be the person writing, like you said, and signing the front of the check.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the budget. I'll
Right.
delegate where the money goes.
Right.
I'll go to the bank. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And if I gotta fire you, I'll fire you. And if I need to bring you on, I can hire you. You know what I'm saying? So that was something that I learned, that it was like more opportunities and more money on the other side of the camera than being in front of the camera. In front of the camera, you're just a pawn.
Yeah.
You're just,
Even if they are paying you $1 million
even
an
if you're
episode.
getting $1 million episode, you still just a drop in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? And you still a pawn, like I said. So
I think we got one more clip. We'll actually let's let her just close it out. And
yeah, we're gonna let her close
the next
it out.
topic, because she's about to cook again. So next topic.
You are in poverty because you fell for the okie doke. You are broke because you fell for the okie doke. You fell for the system that they created and manufactured. When I say that you fell for it, because the execution, chef's kiss. You work a job, you go to that job, you clock in, you come home, you feed your kids, you do that shit again all over again. Every single day. Like a damn worker bee that they created you to be from those 12 years in school. Now, I started talking about social institutions in 2022 because I realized that people didn't understand what systems they were literally in. And most of us were placed in them, right? Because if your family doesn't ever move out of poverty, if they don't get out of the poverty mindset and pathologies and habits and ways and perspectives, then you are just going to pass that down from generation to generation. So your children are also going to grow up thinking that they should be broke, or they should be poor, they should just work a job, or they should just do this. And you want to know the problem with Gen Zs and Gen Alpha? They looked at they millennial ass parents and said, hell no. My son is 17, he's about to be 18, he is not going to college. Now, when I told somebody that, they was like, what do you mean he's not going to college? Because he understands the narrative. I don't want him to go to college. He's going to be the one who opens a Fortune 500 companies and hire your kids to work for him. I know that may sound harsh, but that is who I raised. You're going to ask me, like, why did you raise him? Because I did not want my child to be in the system. I didn't want my children to know exactly what poverty was, what it looked like. Not for real, for real. Like, they had poverty moments, but they've never had a poverty lifestyle. So coming from a person who was homeless December 9th of 2023 to now making, right? And next year it's going to be double that, right? Because it has to work out that way. That's just how money works. I know how to multiply it. But coming from poverty, like as an adult, not as a kid, because my mama didn't follow the system. It's probably why I don't follow the system. It's probably why I cannot keep a job to save my damn life, baby, because I'm not meant to work for nobody. My mom was a street pharmacist. Now, you may look at me and be like, well, that's not nothing to brag about. My mom ain't never worked for nobody, and she brought in $3,000 minimum a day. So looking at price tags has never been a norm for me until I got older. But I realized that I couldn't do that because I didn't want to end up incarcerated. Me and my siblings are bound to just not go down that route. But the system is created to keep you into the worker bee space. Like, they want you to be compliant. They do not want you to think outside of the system that they created for you. They want you to think within the system. As long as you are thinking within the system, they can get you to settle for any and everything. And that's why most of you guys are settling. That's why most of you guys are scared to leave your job. That's why I've been there. I'm not saying like I ain't been there. I've been there. Okay, I've been there. I 100% been there. I had a job before, nigga. Like, but when I started to like accidentally, not even accidentally because it was intentional, like intentionally push myself into a different tax bracket, and I was able to get in rooms with other people who were in that same, I noticed that the language was different, the habits were different, the conversations that they were having were different. Everything was different. Like, struggle was not a thing over here like it was over here. What shifted? The shift was I got out of the system. I got out of the system of poverty. So I stopped thinking like people who were broke. I stopped having the habits of people who were broke. And I started to literally take on the habits of people who I began to surround myself around. And when I mean that shit worked, baby, that it worked like a charm. Now, until people understand that poverty was manufactured and it wasn't something that just happened to fall into your lap, they put you there. They put you there. You are there because they wanted you to be there, and they knew that a person like you was gonna fall for it because you did the school system for 12 years and you became compliant and you understood what the American dream was, and you fell for the American dream. And the first thing you learn when you cross that poverty line into like the rich or the wealthy, you learn that there is no American dream. There is no Jones's family with a white dog named Bobo and a white fucking picket fence. They never existed. You've been trying to keep up with people that didn't even. Like, I went from trying to look rich to actually becoming rich. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not just financially, but mentally, physically, emotionally, right? Like, the more money I made, the more I wanted to be in the gym. The more money I made, the more I wanted to take care of my skin and make sure my hair was always done, or my nails was always, or I look pretty decent. Like, the more money I made, the more I knew that I had, like, and I don't go buy expensive stuff. Like, this shirt is from Five Below, and I got some sweatpants on and some Jordans. That cost me like $180 because I will still wear kids, right? But I started to just, stuff that used to excite me no longer excited me. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah. And I'm making these videos about the poverty mindset because I want you to understand that if you can just flip that, get your head out first, everything else has to follow. Because if you shift your mindset, your habits are going to change, what you value is going to change, your behavior is going to change. It has to. It has to. How are you going to do this? Get around a group of people who are literally going in the same direction as you. You still trying to hold on to the people who are still in a poverty mindset, the dysfunctional ass patterns and habits and pathologies and eating. You still around them expecting to do something different. You are going, if it's 4 broke people in a room, you will be the 5th. It's called social contagion. Look it up. Social contagion. I'm going to talk about that in my membership. Social contagion. I really want to know. I really want people to understand this. Like, if you can't do anything else, do this for me. You don't have to go to school for psychology, but I want y'all to buy as many psychology books as y'all possibly can. And I want y'all to go through that stuff and read them. And I want you to realize that you fell for the okie doke. And that the life that you are living, if you are in poverty, if you are settling, if you are in a space that you don't want to live in, if you are at a job that you hate, if you don't have the money that you want in your bank account, it is because it is a system that was created to function the way that it is functioning, and you fell for the okie doke. And the only way you're going to get out is if you do the opposite of what you've been doing. Is it going to be uncomfortable? Yes. Can you do it? Yes. I did it. And I had to walk away from a lot of people that I cared about and loved about. And it wasn't that I thought that I was better, but I knew that I was different from that bullshit. Now, my memberships for today and today only. I think today is the last day. Everything is half off. You can get in if you want to. My goal is to make you a 6-figure earner. If you do everything I tell you to do, you won't have a problem. But if you decide to get in there and not really do the work, then first off, just don't even come. Don't sign up for nothing I have. Just don't click the blink in the Lio. Just stay in this system. Just stay in the system. But for the people who are tired of being within this social institution called poverty, have a great day. Love you. Bye.
All right, that brings us to our next topic. Do women need men to survive? Dun, dun, dun. I know y'all going to go crazy over this one. In a modern world of luxury, convenience, and independence, do women still need men? We would dive into the overlooked ways men contribute to the infrastructure of daily life, from building homes to maintaining power grids, and whether modern comforts have created an illusion of self sufficiency. Is independence real, or is survival still a shared effort? Let's dive in.
This is a good one.
This topic: Do women need men to survive? Now I know off bat, the woman gonna be like, I don't need no man. I don't need no man. But outside of reproduction, men really don't need women. And I think we heard the young lady say, or we'll hear her say in the video, like if they recreate
artificial womb,
artificial womb, like you won't need none.
Now I'll say this. I'll lead off saying this. We need each other.
Yes, we do.
We need each other.
But they talk. But I think the premise here is
we'll get into it.
It's just basic survival.
Yeah,
like can we so? And I think that they're not talking about need far as us, completing each other and being a match for each other. But they talking about just all pure effort and pure merit.
Yeah, survival. That's your point. Yeah.
Our contribution to society.
Yeah.
So if you take away the women, the men will survive. Lack of reproduction. It won't be procreating, but we'll be able to sustain the infrastructure. Going on. Whereas if you get rid of the men, the woman will be,
society collapses.
It collapses faster.
Faster. Now they have demonstrated this on Survivor.
Oh.
There was years ago they did a man and a woman version one.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta pull that up.
Yeah, and it was very insightful because it basically showed what would happen in these quote unquote extreme scenarios that we always like to talk about in the world. Or so they put a group of men and a group of women on a deserted island and said survive. And so the men obviously was able to figure it out. And by figuring out, meaning like, because just something about us, the way we're socialized and the values that we choose to embrace and in our cognitive development, there's something about it to where we just know how to fall in lines and work together as a group to sustain survival. And the men were just able to do it. Whereas the women, they couldn't get past picking like a leader for the most part. Literally, they couldn't get past picking the leader because they was all trying to be egalitarian and everyone's equal. Everyone has a say. Whereas the men was like, hey,
we know we need a leader.
Who's good at fishing? Who's good at this? Right. Who's good at this? Who's good at engineering? All right, I can fish, or I can build this. I can I'm a contractor. And then from that, then it was just like, all right, well, y'all will work on the food. Y'all work on the water. Y'all work on the shelter. Y'all work on discovering whatever else we might need. And then we'll all come back and meet here by sundown. And put it together, right.
Where they, on the other hand, they
couldn't.
We all are in charge.
Yes.
They're all equal. Yes. And ain't nothing getting done.
And it was to the point where, because they gave them like some tools, and one of the tools was like, it was supposed to be the bin that they were supposed to keep their water in. But instead of the men was using it for their water, but instead of the women using it for the water, the women was using it, I think, to put like their meat in it or something, which was ultimately a problem. Because it was like the meat was spoiling or something, and it was bacteria. So, and to make a long story short, I believe it got to the point where they just had to kind of like cut it short because the women would have killed themselves.
Right. E. coli.
Yeah, no, but that literally, like because they just didn't know and they couldn't figure it out and they just couldn't do it, so they couldn't survive on their own at the end of the day.
I actually like those survival shows. I haven't watched it, but there's some newer ones that's out, and I
think the Extracted is the newest one.
Yeah, I'm very much interested and intrigued about the interpersonal dynamics of people when they're in these extreme circumstances and who survives, who rises to the top, and how people still try to manipulate and the women still try to use their it's funny, they still try to use, that they say they're equal and they could do, but they still try to use their feminine traits to manipulate the men to look out for them or to carry that or to get do above and beyond. And,
So more from a moral reasoning perspective,
so
that's
funny.
what that's level 2.
Level 2.
I'm gonna be nice and feminine to these guys so that I can get something in exchange, i.e., protection, resources, food, clean
good.
water.
Good way to bring it back to our Lawrence.
Right. But that's how it works. Now going back to moral reasoning. Oh, the women's on some egalitarian stuff of like, oh, we're all equal, we're all have a say. That was them seeking approval from each other. Level 3.
Yeah, which the one guy said they usually stay right there. That's where that's the girl level.
Right. Good. Well, the good girl. So seeking approval. Yeah. So they all seeking approval from each other. So they all want to feel they all want to be viewed by each other as being good women. So that's why there's never no push pull in that regard. Whereas the men is just like, if a guy is on some like, oh, I want to build shelters, we go be on some, well, what's your experience, or like, what's your know-how, what's your skill set? Or I ain't never built a house, and I ain't never even looked at building a house. Well, nah, you go get water there. you go be responsible for water.
Right.
And outside of your responsibilities to get water, you could just hang out with the guys that are building the house and be their apprentice. But you're not going to be over on the house,
right,
or in charge of it, or even participating until you skill up at the end of the day. Whereas women would be on some, in these cases, is, oh, well, we're all equal. Like, well, if she wants to build the house, then let her build the house. But it's like, no, she can't build the house because it's about to get dark and we need shelter.
We don't got all day.
Yeah, we don't got all day to be having this back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Because we need fire.
We need fire. We need food. We need water. We need, because again, they had to produce everything on their own. So to going back to just the question, do women need men to survive? It's just like, yes, they do, because ultimately their moral reasoning doesn't get developed to a level to where they don't need men. They don't need men to survive. Whereas men don't need women to survive because we're socialized, we're cognitively developed, and we're told to embrace values that ensure order is maintained in society. Level 4, moral reasoning.
Yep. And we do the jobs that need to be done to make it comfortable. Like we're
right
raised in that mindset.
Yeah.
To do what needs to be done to make it comfortable for, and I think that was part of the statement. Like, have we did a good job, such a good job that we created this space for women to be safe, that now we did such a good job that they feel entitled to, and like, to this space. Like, it's like crazy. Like, society has always looked out for the women and children. You know what I'm saying? So we done such a good job of that. Now it's like,
we don't even need y'all.
We don't need
do we
y'all.
Even need men?
Like, do we even, like, what are y'all ain't even doing that? Like, huh? Like, we giving y'all the space that y'all feel comfortable in.
Right.
We create that space for you.
It's like we've created a space where they don't even, well, to your point, we've done such a good job of creating a safe and comfortable space to them that now they think that the men are the threat.
Right.
The men are a threat to their freedom. So like we've sacrificed life and limb to create this circle of freedom and choice and comfort and safety for them, to the point where now they've gotten so used to it that they think that now we as men are a threat to them having this comfort, safety, and whatnot, because we're still maintaining order.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that because you're gonna mess that up.
No appreciation.
Oh, you're trying to control me.
Yeah, there's like, man, we're trying to control, but there's no appreciation and no gratitude and no respect for the spaces that they are able to be comfortable in.
And I don't care if a man is a bum on the street all the way up to Elion, however you pronounce it. and all the men in between, like every man is doing his part. Now I ain't talking about grown boys and real men. I'm talking about the responsible and productive men, which is a lot, the majority from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Because again, if men aren't being responsible and productive, then society collapses. Like, period. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Pretty much.
Think about it. If the landscapers don't cut the grass, if the landscapers didn't do their jobs, which is, and the reason why I'm specifically using landscapers is because that's a career that a lot of women will frown upon. Oh, he's a blue collar worker. He's a landscaper. He's a construction worker. You
Look,
know?
just like the graphic for this segment.
Yeah,
if he ain't out there on the power lines,
right?
She can't sit inside and sip her coffee in a nice heat and watch the view.
Talking about she don't need him.
Right.
Like, why is he even
So
here?
he ain't shit.
Or like, he broke.
Right.
Look at this broke, dusty electrician
9
over
to
here.
5 working.
Right. Just trying to thinking he fixing my power and But again, if the construction workers, if the landscapers, if the blue collar workers, if the oil rig guys, if the guy, the logistic, the truck drivers, if men decide to go on protest for a month, society would collapse. But if women did the same thing, nothing would happen to society. We will still keep on moving on forward.
It might be a little better. But I ain't gonna go there. I ain't gonna go. Let's watch this video, y'all.
Women do not need men to get bank accounts, houses. They have careers on their own.
No, you still rely on men. It's just indirect now. See, men have always been in between women and the real world. That your office job is not real life. Here's another depiction of that. Here's men going out to face danger and build things on the outside in order to create a safe space for women on the inside. This is how it's always been, and it still is. You just don't understand that because you're too comfortable. Men still do all the hard work. If all women stopped working right now, we'd be fine. If all men stopped working, everyone would die. And that is, again, because men make all the food and build all the houses and the walls, and they used to guard the border. I guess they gave up on that. Women have never done that and can't. Men still do all of the necessary things to create the space for you to have your girl bossing fun time. The way it works is that women are always really happy for men to do the hard, dangerous work until times are really good, until we build something better than this. And then you look around and you go, hey, men have more than us. No fair. You go to the government, which writes some laws for you, which makes you equal, and then you are disgusted by men who are equal to you. So without equality laws, it's very easy for women to find men they respect, and with equality laws, it's very difficult. And then everyone tells these men that they're worthless. And then they go, okay, well, I don't want to be this guy, so I'll just be this guy. And then they never grow up and they never do anything. And then you hate them even more. So your girl bossing crap is just not going to last very long because women cannot do what men do. You can't do that work of building the physical world. And what you're doing now is just sort of taking it away from men and having it for yourself without giving them anything back, which makes them go away. And then, like, imagine if you had to build a house. It's not going to happen. And then when men go away, then there is nothing in between you and bad stuff. So you might want to stop being so mouthy.
I like that video. Like, he broke it down. Like, you know, I like when people break down things with visuals.
Yeah.
And give you that kind of graphs or charts and things like that. He kind of incorporated all of that. Like, I'm a visual learner as well, so it's always good to help you digest it and comprehend what they're saying. And if, you know, like you said, watching that video, there's nothing derogatory. There's nothing, you know, we're not bashing. You know, it's just, you know, the facts of the matter.
You're just speaking the facts of the matter.
It's the facts of the matter, and it's we hope that the women that's watching and viewing are not being offended by this, but just understanding it and learning and understanding, going to a higher level of the Kohlberg's theory, where you understand our wants and perspective and where we're coming from. So maybe that could help, you know, in the future when you're dealing with other men.
I mean, I like the part. What stuck out to me about that clip was when he was talking about, again, like, the men do the necessary work in society that women take for granted at the end of the day. Because to your point, like, they're not gonna build a house. And to prove that they're not going to build a house, we can drive around to every construction site that we can pass between there, here and my house in Inglewood, and I guarantee you, 99% of the people on that job site are going to be males.
Oh yeah.
And here's the kicker: as men, we know that women can do these things because they're human just like us, but they just don't want to do those.
Given
things.
the opportunity to make a choice, they do not want to.
They do not want to
because it's not as common or
it's not comfortable.
easy
It's
or
not
comfortable
easy, right.
for them to do that. It's against their nature, their
feminine nature, right?
Yeah, their inevitable nature.
But here's the kicker: we don't want to do it either.
we been got past. We been swallowed that pill.
The men don't want to do it either. But we understand that in order for this world to go round, somebody has to do the hard and necessary work. And as men, we say, you know what, women, we know y'all don't want to have to do it. We don't want to have to do it either. But you know what? Because we value you guys in regards to your ability to obviously reproduce, have our children, as well as whatever other of things of value that you have developed that we value, not just you being a woman, but because we understand the situation and nature of the game, we just said, you know, like you said, we'll swallow a pill, even though we don't want to have to do these hard necessary things. We don't want to have to lose life and limb to keep these threats out, to make sure that you have a safe and comfortable space to feel however you want to feel. You know what? We will still bite the bullet and swallow that big pill and do the hard necessary work, even though we don't want to have to do the work either. But we know it has to be done, and all we want in exchange is respect.
Right? Because in that video, he said, if you get rid of men, you get rid of the thing that stands between women and anything bad happening.
Yes, and that's what women don't seem to understand.
Right.
And when things do happen to them that they perceive as bad, that's why they all like you said right now, the narrative in our community is, you know, like, American women of African descent are unprotected. We're uncovered.
Yeah. I never understood that.
I never understood it either, but now I kind of do understand it because it's like, well, you can't get a man's protection if you're unwilling to receive his correction.
Oh.
Period.
Okay.
Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Okay.
Case in point, if you pay me to be your bodyguard, you're paying me to be your bodyguard for a reason. You're paying me to look out for you, to protect you.
Right.
You're paying me to see threats that you don't see. Like you said, you're paying me to keep the bad stuff away from you. So that means I'm seeing things and paying attention to things that you're not even paying attention to. Things that you're oblivious to.
You don't even have to pay attention.
You don't even have to pay attention. Right. So if I come to you and say, hey, Will, so if we go out to this club that you want to go to, that you've been wanting to go to, and you there, we having fun, but then I'm like, hey, it's time for us to go. That ain't the time for you to be telling me, your security guard that you, or your bodyguard that you paying, like, oh, we just got here.
That's a good point.
What you talking about? I'm trying to turn up. I'm just like, nah, we need to leave right now.
That's a good point.
And you sitting up here trying to hold court with me about why you want to stay there and have fun and party because you've been trying to go here, and I'm just like, no, we're leaving right now. And I just scoop you up and drag your ass about the fucking club.
That's a good point. That's a very good.
And then when we get back home, or when we wake up the next morning, we see there was a fucking shootout at the club. But again, that was my job to peep that shit, to peep that before it happened.
I did peep it. That's why I said it's time to go. I seen the bull over there getting rambunctious about whatever the case was going on, and I seen that he had a little something on his hip, and I was like, oh shit, it's time to go. Let's go. Like you said, that's not the time for you. But I ain't ready to go. Like, why
you trying to be controlling? Stop trying to control me.
Yeah, it gets to control. That you know
being insecure right now.
You know what else? That ties into the with women wear.
That's with shouts out to Sister Felicia Rashad, for making her statements, and we got your back.
Oh, Felicia, I appreciate you, and I always loved you since Claire Huxtable, and you still got your regal essence, and you're still a queen, and when you was on that Breakfast Club, you was more sexy than those other two women that were sitting in that room 100%. And they would never understand that, and that's the problem.
Right. So even on that point, it's like
But the point I was making is about what they wear.
Okay,
what the girls wear is like. You want to say that the man is being controlling
or
when
he's insecure.
He's insecure when he say don't wear that or stuff like that.
Don't wear revealing clothing.
Don't wear revealing in public. It's like
whether I'm with you or without you.
What, especially if I'm without you. You know what I'm saying? It's like even more so without you. All right, if you with me, all right, I might let you be a little more lenient because I am with you. So I am going to do. We're going to do the hard jobs that we're here to do. I know you
the
my
hard
woman.
Necessary work.
We're going to do it. We don't want to do it, and and sometimes we try to prevent it from happening. That's why we say we might need to leave. We done seen that nigga looking at you for the third time.
Right.
He about to come over here and say something.
Right.
And and it's not like of course you ain't gonna let no one disrespect your woman or nothing in that case, but if we going out to have a good time, why go in a manner that's going to present or welcome problems?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what the revealing clothing does.
And that's what it does, and that's what men think logically. See, but y'all think the women think more
he's
emotionally.
Insecure. He's trying to control
I just want to
me.
express myself and think. Well, if that's what you want to do, you want to wear something nice. We'll have a little get together and at our home.
Yes,
right. Where we're in a controlled environment.
Right.
And then you bring some friends over. Then you have at it. Dress
do
the way
thing,
do your thing. But for you to want to go out in the streets, especially when I'm not with you. That's even like a man really is not gonna let that happen. And then, if we with you, all right, we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta be the man. We gotta bring the blicky with us, and we gotta do what we gotta do. But you shouldn't be wanting to put your
man in that position. Yeah.
Because it's knuckleheads out here. It's people that's disrespectful, and it's people that don't give a fuck.
And some trifling motherfuckers.
And your man gonna do what he gotta do. So. You don't want his life at risk. You don't want his freedom at risk, or his health, or his ability to function to be at risk. You know what I'm saying? So, that's all that is about. It's not about. 100% right. It's not about controlling you or
being insecure.
It's just that sometimes men, like in that analogy, as a security guard. That's the role we play when we're with our women.
Yeah, we are your bodyguard.
We are the bodyguard.
Right.
And so therefore, just like when the president is with the CIA, they can foresee some things that's happening. And when they tell the president, we got to fucking go, Mr. President, he goes.
Right.
No questions asked.
None.
Because I know you're doing your job as the CIA to
Secret
scout
Service.
the area, Secret Service, to secure and to make sure the parameters and things and everything is safe and everything is on the up and up.
Exactly.
So if you see something that's not aligned with a good time or safety, I got to get you out of there.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, all we're doing.
And that's all
men.
it is.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
He's just thinking about things that you're not thinking about because you don't have to think about them.
Because it could not necessarily be like a controversy going on, but you just know that you're in an environment where anything could go down. So it's like, all right, let's not be here too long. Let's not be the last ones stumbling out of here. Let's not get too fucked up.
Yeah.
Let's be on our P's and Q's. Sometimes you got to just be like that. And like we said, it's not to control you or to diminish your freedoms or to limit your
having a good
ability
time.
To have a good time.
Yeah, it's not nothing to do with that. It's
we just trying to both get home safely.
And that's literally it. Because that's the one thing. Growing up in the quote unquote hood, I just remember that's the one thing my mamas, my grannies, my aunties, that's the one thing they always make it home safely. Like that was always the goal at night.
Yeah.
Make it home safely. No matter what, do what you gotta do to make it home safely. And that's all the man is doing is just ensuring that y'all make it home safely.
Yep.
Because again, we associate with men. So we know how men can be.
Yeah, we know.
Better than women.
Yeah. I mean, I was a knucklehead young man coming up, so I understand. Yeah, I understand how people could be disrespectful
on purpose,
intentionally, looking for some shit, looking for sizing your man up and down.
Yes,
like, I think I could take him and his bitches look like she look good, so fuck that nigga. What up?
And men.
Fuck your man got to do with me.
And men, this is what we are striving to protect you from.
Mm-hmm.
Protect ourselves
from, because we got to deal with it,
right?
Because you gonna be staying over the other side like,
and it ain't him being, and he ain't being scary. It's just him being mindful of his job. What's his duty as your personal bodyguard? Because that's what we are in that case. We are your personal bodyguard.
We're your protector.
Because y'all want a protector.
Right.
So again, if you want a protector, if you want protection, you got to follow his correction. So if he's telling you don't wear revealing clothing, like don't go out in these poorly lit areas at night, like if you are gonna go out at night, make sure you only stop at places where it's people there, it's public, it's well lit.
Right.
Like nighttime ain't the time for you to be thinking about taking shortcuts and easy ways. Like,
Nighttime, and I'm sure y'all know this. Nighttime ain't the time to get gas.
Nighttime ain't the time to get gas.
I don't know
if you got to wake up a little bit earlier in the morning to get it. That's what you're gonna have to do since you failed to listen to your man Morgan, who was like, "Baby, you get the gas early today." Like, I gotta go to the stove.
Me as a grown man, that's a rule I live by. If it's late, I don't go to no gas station, especially in the neighborhood. I don't know where the fuck I'm at. Especially out here in California, I didn't even realize that the Arco was the blue gas station, and what's the other one that's red?
Oh, like a Texaco?
Yeah, like because literally, well, specifically right there at Crenshaw and Slauson.
Yeah.
There's you got the blue.
Yeah, the Arco right in the shell.
Well, and then you got the other
Dino one. Yeah,
on the other.
Yeah, facts.
I was down there and I had my red Mustang then, and I pulled up down there and I was with Brandon. He was like, "Bro, you crazy as a motherfucker," but I was oblivious to it because I don't know the culture.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't then.
Right,
you know,
facts.
And so I pulled up on the corner and top there. You know, it was when Nipsey passed, so everybody was on some peace. It wasn't no, you know, no drama. But on a regular day, like that probably wouldn't have been the move.
That's like over there at Crenshaw and Slauson. That's a 60
Golden 60s,
yeah,
right?
60 Haven right there. So
right.
Like that's literally that Arco is one of their hangout spots.
Right.
Like that's you will see most of them there than anywhere else in the city.
Right, exactly.
Like right there.
And I'm with my red convertible Mustang. Brandon was scared as shit. Ain't even.
They looking at, like you said, to you just like, I'm just going to get gas. But they're like Brandon as well as the niggas that was out there was looking at you just like
like this nigga.
Is he serious?
Right.
And a lot of times I've seen them to where it's just like it'd be an out of towner and they just don't know. But it's like the gang members just looking like he's just out of. But it's like they just so shocked.
Yeah.
That the dude is out of bounds that they don't take action because they just. Like I can't believe
shell shock.
Yeah,
right.
they shell shock. It's like I can't like this nigga pulled up in a red Mustang with a red like flamed up like.
And that's when that one place everybody, you know where you at?
Yeah, right.
Like, you know where you at, OG? Like what's you know what I mean?
Right, because the older ones would do that, but the young ones might press your line. Like
yeah, I mean the older ones be like, yeah, you better be careful out here. You know where you at? Yeah, this might not be the place you want to get gas.
Not might be the place.
Yeah, well, the young ones oppress you. But anyway, the point is that you know you got to understand protection.
Yeah,
and you got to understand where you at, and sometimes us as men and as your protector, we foresee these things and try to alleviate them, and so
that you don't have to deal with it at the end of the day.
So you don't have to deal with it. So so to the question, do women need men? Yes, they do. Women do need men.
Women need men to survive.
To survive, yes. To survive, yes. Women do need men to survive.
And they want men to survive. And another reason why we know this is because they like using that C word. Creep. Oh my God. There's so many creeps out here. Oh my God. He's a creep. Look at he's looking at me real creepy. Like he looks like a creep.
He weird.
He weird, you know, like
he acting weird.
You know, he's oh my God, it makes me feel uncomfortable. Like but it's just like yes, ma'am. Like A, that's just your out order programming. But B, if you feeling creeped out by just the existence of men, then you do need a man.
Yeah,
you do. Like there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it, and it's no knock against that. That's what I'm realizing too. A lot of women have this chip on their shoulder, like. They feel like we look at them as inferior because they want our protection, but it's just like you're not inferior. It's just you got what you great at, men got what they great at, and as long as we just focus on what we great at and then help each other in between with what. So again, if I'm good at doing something right-handed, you good at doing something left-handed. It don't make either one of us good or bad. It just means that if it's stuff that needs to be done left-handed, you're gonna do it. If it's stuff that's right-handed, I'm gonna do it, and we go collaborate and achieve the goal together, as opposed to this whole, you don't want to have to do what you want to do, but you still want me to do it, but I'm just like, oh, then that's when the tension comes into play, because now we just not on the same page. You're not in alignment. You know what I mean? So this is gonna be a problem.
Right. So
we got a clip for him. We got another one.
Oh shit!
I think we got one more. We're not one more, but I think we got a clip that kind of talks about what we been sharing. But
I think the only option is not working within the system. Stop doing the thing that everybody told us to do when we were young, which is go to university, burn 4 years, and let's call it on the low end, $50,000 in debt that you can never get rid of for a job that pays basically minimum wage at $30,000 to $40,000 a year after you spent $50,000 to get it. Then go and try to climb a corporate ladder where people get 3% raises on average. Try to buy a house, but you really can't, because if you don't have a W-2 job, then it's really hard to get a loan. If you do have a W-2 job, you probably don't make enough income to get it. And so we have to, as young people, we got to say no. Like, I'm not doing it this way. Become financially independent and intelligent so that you can become the financial institution. Don't go work in a corporate job for somebody else for 3% wages each year. Become more valuable, negotiate your salary. If there's no upside, leave and go somewhere else. And don't rely on traditional university degrees, because they don't teach you business. The best way to learn about business is being in business.
As she said, man,
like broke it down for you, like, and that's from a woman's perspective, you know.
And again, we're talking specifically about survival, not just existing.
Yeah.
But so when it comes to survival, it's like, yes, like, y'all do need the man, because push comes to shove, y'all don't want to have to do the hard necessary work like she says. And plus, men don't want you to have to do the hard necessary work, because I'm like, me personally, I would prefer that, you know, my women don't do that hard necessary work, because I just don't trust them to do it.
But they prefer it too, because statistics show that the jobs that were prevalent by women and before the feminist movement were secretary, nursing, administrative assistant, schooling, childcare, stuff like that. Fast forward to 2025, those are the same jobs that are dominant. So even given the choice, they still choose to go in those areas.
They still choose to avoid the hard necessary work.
And we only want you to do the hard work. We just want you to appreciate the fact that
we are doing it, right?
That's all
and that alone garners respect, ladies.
Yeah.
Because think about it. If men weren't willing to do the hard necessary work, that means y'all would have to do it, and y'all don't want to have to do it.
And there's some women that get it, like the young lady that just spoke. There's a lot of women out there that get it, but there's a lot more that's not getting it, and that ideology of this modern woman is growing, and it's becoming
it's out of control. It is out of control. I will just say it. It is out of control.
It is.
And we need to just get back to our regularly scheduled programming of respecting each other for our greatness, for our strengths, not trying to dismiss and discredit each other for our weaknesses, which is what we seem to be doing.
Work together and not against each other.
Yeah. So again, collaborating with each other, as opposed to expecting somebody to, as opposed to you thinking that you need to depend on somebody that you expect to cooperate with your terms as the dependent.
Right.
At that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, do your thing at the end of the day, ladies. We gonna be here. Like I said, men is gonna still do the hard necessary work with or without you. However, it seems to me that we're getting to a place now where men are pretty much content with just doing the hard necessary work and not even concerning themselves with women, even though we still do it for women, because again, we still got moms, we still got grandmothers, we still got
have
aunties.
Society.
And so and as far as men, like, those are our women that we protect. Not the strangers, because that's why I tell that to my granny all the time. Like, I got y'all to be worried about. I can't be worried about no strange woman when I'm out in them streets. Like, I'm not concerned about them. I'm not. So it's just like, no, like, if you see me, like, I'm not gonna be there to protect you, because I can't afford to protect you and risk life and limb. Then I'm not gonna be able to keep the threats away from my women.
Right.
Like my mothers, my aunties, my nieces,
my tribe.
My tribe. You know what I'm saying? I gotta protect my tribe. I can't protect your tribe. So if now only way I can protect you is if you decide to join my tribe. And if you and y'all not joining no man's tribe, so don't expect no protection from no stranger man.
Very well said.
It's just that simple.
It's
You know what
as
I mean?
simple as that.
So if you want protection from stranger men, I would suggest you start off by being appreciative of the fact that you don't have to do the hard necessary work, and then start respecting the men who do the hard necessary work. And I ain't saying you got to entertain them.
Right. Everybody
But
say
just be
fuck 'em.
respectful of them. Like, so just, and by being respectful specifically, like, watch your mouth.
Yeah.
Don't talk to them like you ain't got no sense. Like, because again, what if that most likely the men that women feel comfortable talking smack to are the men that are making the world go round, because those are the men that are doing the hard necessary jobs.
Yeah, ain't that crazy? The men that women feel that they could disrespect and talk crazy to are more than likely the men that are doing the hard work and making the world go round.
Yes.
And on the flip side, the men that they want to cater to, these modern women, the ones that aren't productive, are the ones that they want to give all this respect to, but they're the ones that's not contributing to the advancement of society or today's.
So you gotta pick a side, as like we said earlier. So you either gonna be on the side for respectful, I mean, where you're grateful and respectful of the men who do the hard necessary work, so you don't have to do it, or not. But you got to. But again, the opportunity cost of being disrespectful to the men that make the world go round is you feeling uncovered, you feeling unprotected, you feeling like you just out there in the world by yourself with all these creeps looking at you, waiting to take advantage of you. Like, that's the cost that you pay for choosing not to be appreciative, grateful, and respectful of men who do the hard necessary work, so you don't have to do it.
I don't have nothing else to say about that. So I don't want to dwell too much on it.
I mean, well, we can end it off on with the last clip. You know what I mean? Like, because I know she cooking too. So,
well, she was pretty much just talking about being a boss outside the house and then like coming home. So I think that's kind of like
that's a little different,
a tangent from where we're at, because then that's going to bring into
that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic. I think I just want to stay with the premise of we're talking about in regards to survival.
Yes,
we're not talking about
okay, I got you.
You know,
not bossing,
not being a boss at work and then coming home and being submissive to your husband and all that.
Right. So yes, men and women need each other to survive, but specifically, do women need men to survive? Women need men to survive more than men need women to survive.
To survive.
Not exist. Survive. All right, everybody, welcome back to our next segment, Responding Directly. This is the opportunity that we take to go through the comments that we have gotten on our social media platforms to respond directly to you, our engagers. So the first, we're going to be coming live and direct from our TikTok page as usual. Our first topic is going to be a clip that we posted from episode 7 titled, "Here's the Harsh Truth About Some American Welfare Recipients." So this was that one where we was just basically talking about the lady who was saying that she got reported for having a Beamer.
Yeah.
And
she had a brand new Beamer,
but she was getting $4,000
in food stamps.
Cash assistance.
She got cash assistance.
Of her rent.
She was getting Section 8.
Right.
And she had online content where she was getting paid off of a lot of flowers, and she was upset that somebody said they was gonna report her.
So I think somebody did report her. Remember, she was saying that they was saying that she had to sell the BMW.
Yes, they wanted her to sell the BMW if she wanted to keep her benefits.
Right. So, all right. So, the first comment, we will start from the bottom and come on up. So the first one was from a woman. Her name was, or the handle was Mother of 5.
Okay.
Mother of 5 says, "The tax man going to be coming for them." I guess that's supposed to be the tax man is going to be coming for them. But yeah, right. Doge is coming for you. So we agree, Mother of 5, like, yeah, the Doge is coming for him.
Yes.
All right, the next comment came from a gentleman, I'm assuming a gentleman with the name Randy, but then Randy's comment was black privilege.
That one I didn't understand.
Well, to me, what I'm picking up was Randy's bigotry, his prejudice, and all that is on full display.
Oh, you know what it was? that clip was just a snippet.
That's
So
my
the
point.
snippet didn't have the actual video.
That's my
So he
point.
just assumed that we were talking about black women.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's why you said his bigotry and all that is
on full display.
Your slip is
Your
showing.
prejudice, your bigotry, all that.
Because it was a white girl that made that video. It was.
It was from Michigan.
From Michigan.
A white woman from Michigan.
Yeah.
Randy. That's why I love those
a white woman of European descent.
Yep. Right. All right. The next comment comes from it looks like a Chris Butler. Looks like a female. So Chris Butler says, "Stop it. Seriously. Go after the corporate welfare queens, not the mom with a nice car." Shaking my head. Now, there's a part of me that feels searching that by corporate welfare queens, she's referring to who?
I don't know.
Because I'm just like, if she would have just said welfare queens, my assumption would have been she was mostly talking about American women of African descent. But since she put corporate welfare queens, I'm just like, well, I don't know any corporate welfare queens per se, but I know there's some corporate welfare kings.
But I'm not understanding the whole concept of corporate welfare.
I think by corporate welfare, she's specifically referring to like all the companies or the corporations that get subsidies as well as tax breaks. That's what I'm assuming that she's talking about. But anywho, we had other individuals who were engaging with the engager.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had a Rhea. Rhea says, if you're driving a new Beamer whilst getting $4,000 in food stamps, you are a welfare queen.
I agree.
I agree.
I mean, because I just made the whole statement about in our video, like I could be driving a Beamer, if I want to, but you got to make decisions.
Exactly.
That's
more reasoning.
More reason. It's like that's like driving a Bentley and you live in a 1-bedroom apartment with your mom.
Mm-hmm. And plenty of men and women do that.
That's like having a Birkin bag and you don't even got $20 in it to buy you a sandwich.
And plenty of women do that. That's like a dude having a closet full of Air Jordan sneakers, living with his mama, and he ride the bus every day.
Right.
But he got every pair of Jordan sneaker in the world. Every colorway that come out, he got it.
In mint condition. Cases.
Right. Custom cases at that. All right. Living in the projects at that. On welfare. Next one was this looks like Alyssa's mom forever. She says, I think those on welfare driving a brand new BMW are the welfare queens. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I guess this is a new
So then Chris Butler comes back at Rhea, who said that if you're driving a new Beamer whilst getting $4,000 in food stamps, you are a welfare queen. She says, what about the $1 billion contracts? Why aren't you on them? And by the way, nope, no government, nothing here. I just don't find it fun to beat up on the average person for what's been taken by the 1%. So that looks like Chris Butler's position is more so that's why she most likely put corporate, because she's more so just against, again, like the Amazons and the big guys.
But how do Amazon and them benefit from welfare?
I mean, I don't know how they benefit from welfare, which is actually the topic of the post.
Yeah. I don't get it.
How, like I said, them is two dots that she trying to connect that ain't connecting.
She got to explain that a little better, baby.
I agree.
I wish she could. If you hear this, go back on there and explain yourself a little more.
And then Rhea came back and said,
she came back?
Yeah, wrong is wrong. No one should be living off government. It's temporary help to get on your feet, not a supplement to your income.
Now, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Shouts out to Rhea for holding it down in the comment section. We appreciate that.
I agree with that. It's totally not fair to be an able body. And now, if the money came from, if there was some tariff that came from China that we charge China to take care of our people on welfare, I might be on welfare my damn self.
Right. Facts.
But the fact that the means for this compensation comes from the
taxpayer dollars.
It comes from my hard work.
Yeah.
And me getting up and having to fucking do something.
So that's my whole thing with the whole welfare and even just giving money out to strangers is just like, again, like Michael Jackson. I mean, like Sugar Free said, we all got the same 24 hours in a day as Michael Jackson, but most of us choose to do nothing with it and be nothing with it. So it's like if I'm willing to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm out the house by 6, and I'm not getting back to my house by 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon because I've been doing whatever I've been doing to earn what I need to earn.
And that's no lie. This nigga is up at 5 and out by 6.
So if I gotta do that every day to quote unquote to make a living for myself or to earn a living for myself, then it's just like, no, I have nothing for nobody that ain't willing to do the same. Like,
you know what was funny when we in Arkansas, right? And I be trying my best to beat you to get up. I'll be up. I'm like, I think I got. He like, no, I already been down to the such and such. I already been. Like, damn,
right.
nigga, what time you get up?
And that's on vacation,
right?
Vacation, I'm even getting up early. But it is what it is. So last comment on this topic, it was from a Jeanette Moore. She says their system was not intended as a lifestyle. It was for help when you need it. It needs to go back to that.
Yeah,
it needs to go back to what it was intended for,
and it needs to have some boundaries on it, ramifications, some guidelines.
I agree. So, and it's like I said, life happens. You know, people do fall on hard times.
Yes,
and
for sure.
I do believe that there does need to be some sort of help or assistance for those who are helping themselves, though.
Right.
Not just for people to supplement their income while they sit on their ass all day and watch the stories.
And generations
right.
of it.
All right, next topic was...
I figured what you should get a welfare for what? Say a good... That's why you feel broke. 3-year max?
Let's just say 3 to 5 years.
Let's just say 3 to 5 year max.
No more than 5 years.
No, that's stretching it too.
That's what I'm saying. No more than 5. 5 is the max. You know what I'm saying? All right, the next one was this was I think from episode 7 as well. Yeah, it was from episode 7. This was the title of this clip was "Here's Why You're Struggling with Money and Always Feel Broke." Yeah, this is when we were talking about people going kind of some of what we talked about today. But so our first comment comes from a Go For It. They said, "You won't be unbroke just because you stop watching social media. If you don't make enough, you don't make enough." So go for it, like
just because you stop watching social.
Because I think this is the one where we were saying where we were talking about how to with dopamine. We weren't talking about money per se, but we were talking about
was that when I was saying like people feel broke because they watching everyone else portray this lavish lifestyle, and therefore it makes them feel like they're not achieving.
Yes, right. So yes, go for it. Stop not watching not looking at social media is not going to make you unbroke, but that wasn't our point.
No.
Our point specifically was that the social media is what's making you feel broke because you're comparing yourself to other people's most likely fugazi facade anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're saying, go for it. Not that just solely by stopping, consuming social media that you're going to be unbroke. Like, that's not what we're saying. No, but to your point, like, yeah, if you don't make enough, you don't make enough. But if you know you don't make enough, then what are you doing to make enough?
Then that's a whole nother question.
All right, next comment came from a Courtney Carver. They said, I always felt like that was an internal battle. Because when Instagram first got big, a friend of mine 10 years ago said he don't do social media because it makes you jealous of other people's lives. And I always felt like that was an internal battle because why do you have a jealous spirit?
That could be argued either way. But I hear what he's saying though. Yeah. It makes you question what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, if I'm looking at someone with social media, will have you looking at a 12-year-old kid with $5,000 in his hand,
right?
Holding up to his ear,
making you question like what you like to say.
Like, what the fuck am I doing wrong out here? Social media have you looking at somebody posing in front of a Bentley or something, knowing it ain't theirs, but you taking it for what it's being served as.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like
it could be beating yourself up about it.
Like, damn, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Then you look like, am I on a trajectory to get a Bentley? Like, I'm along with you. Like, how the fuck they get it? So I think as humans we do like self inventory and It makes us self-doubt and stuff like that. I don't think it's a jealous spirit.
Mm-mm.
I don't want to call it that because I think that's something maybe slightly different.
I agree.
But I do believe that when you see a lot of good things around you, you do wonder like, well, what I gotta do to get this?
Mm-hmm. All right, so the next one was.
We appreciate your comments though, y'all. Keep liking and subscribing to the channel. Keep commenting. Keep letting these ripples flow. These are the things that we are adamant about, and this is what we're doing this for, just to engage with other people, exchange ideas, and getting them to ripple
Keep
out.
them ripples rippling. So this one actually, these comments come from episode 6. This is
Okay.
when we were talking about the title for this clip was "The Truth About the Target Boycott That No One Is Talking About." And this was, I think, where you was specifically talking about like what are you doing with the money if you're not spending it at Target?
What are we going to do with the money that we saved by not going to Target?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to spend it at another store
Mm-hmm.
that we don't know that we don't know that's as racist as what we think Target is?
Right. All right, so the first comment came from Dorothy. She says, "You could just keep the money in your pocket. Ain't nothing wrong with saving." I agree.
You ain't saying nothing wrong.
Then we had a Coco Blue follow up to Dorothy by saying this, like, why do people love spending their money so much? Like, yeah, that's one thing I've always wondered too. Like, personally, as I got older and I began to start developing a better understanding of money and like earning interest and that kind of stuff and seeing your money grow, I start wanting to see that more than I. So I once I learned that, I was like, would you rather watch the money grow in your bank account or would you rather watch the money grow out of your bank account? You know what I'm saying?
Well, people spend money to get that chemical release.
Yeah, I agree. That dopamine hit. Or they are spending money in anticipation of a better reward, getting a better reward, a higher, a bigger bag. As
There's a gratification when you spend it. When I see something I like, I could pay for it and get it, and then come home with it. That's a form of instant gratification.
Mm-hmm. Right. Dopamine hit. All right. Next comment came from Sha. She says, "Save it the fuck. Black people everywhere. We need to invest and save." So save it. Yeah, facts. And yeah, we do need to do more investing in our communities. I remember when I first understood investing, it was right before the pandemic, I believe. But I remember at the time I was looking at I was on YouTube. I was trying to figure out because I had heard about a Roth IRA prior to then, but I didn't understand like what to do with it. You know what I mean? Because I remember the first account I set up at TD Ameritrade back in the day. I'm dating myself. But it was like I had the account for like years, but I never did anything with it because I didn't understand what to do with it, and I didn't even know what questions to ask at the time. But I remember fast forward, it was the top of the year, and I remember I just made a goal that I was gonna learn how to invest that year.
Okay.
And you know how the universe likes putting things in front, likes putting opportunities in front of you to give you the things that you asked it for. So I remember there was this Asian guy. I found him online, and I started following some of his videos, and then I saw that he was hosting an investing one-on-one seminar in Los Angeles. So I was like, I didn't even know he was from LA. So I remember I registered, I pulled up to it, and it was in that class, and it was about let's just say about 15 of us. It was in that class that I learned what investing was and how to do it for the first time, and I've been doing it ever since.
Good for you.
And it was. And unbeknownst to me, it was easier than what I was anticipating it was going to be. You know what I'm saying? Because I was thinking that investing in stocks specifically was you got to go over all these charts and graphs, but it was just like, nah, it's the easiest and most simplest thing for you to do when it comes to investing in stock is just an index fund. Shout out to the gentleman over at EYL, Ian. And then fast forward, once I learned his game was 2 tech stocks, invest in 2 tech stocks and 2 ETFs. That's just the basic portfolio allocation. I started doing those types of things, and like I said, it's been all gas and no breaks ever since then. And it's like, it's funny to me now because it's like I now realize like I have multiple accounts, like investing accounts, checking accounts, savings accounts. So in my primary checking account, I pretty much keep that. No, I only keep as much money as I need to pay my bills in that account.
Keep minimum.
Like a minimum, you know what I'm saying? Like literally. So if someone sees my balance in that account, it could be $200. They go say, "Oh, he ain't got no money, he broke." But it's just like, that's cool with me because,
of course, yeah.
The true money is in the investment accounts.
Yeah,
and I ain't saying I'm the cash money millionaire, but in light of knowing that the average American doesn't have $1,000 that they can touch in the case of an emergency, it's like I can do that times 5 at a bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? Like I can do these basic things that the average person can't do. But even though I know that I can do those basic things, I'm still focused on an opportunity to do more.
Yes.
As opposed to just settling for, all right, well, I got what I got, so let me just kind of like let my hair down. It's just like, no, still moving forward. Got to do more.
I'm trying to get to the point where I have all my monthly bills come off my credit card.
Me too. Because I actually started like, so I saw, did you see that video that the white dude talking about that?
Probably.
So the one I saw was what he was, it was a white dude talking about how he was like, yeah, when my sons turned 18, I made them authorized users on my credit card, and then I had them pay all their bills on my credit card. He was like, I never use my cash for anything. He was like, I always use the credit card. He was like, because if the card gets hacked, then it's just credit, so and they'll fix it. And then, but B, you most importantly, you have the ability to build your credit score.
Yeah,
that was the main reason why he said that he did it that way.
Well, that as well, but the reason why I want to do it because like we said, remember we talked about this. We're not doing it using the credit to spend what we don't have.
Right.
I save my bills because I have that every month. I'm going to spend that.
Right.
So if I get that off my credit, then there's a lot of perks that you get from your credit card.
Right, miles.
Like you get miles and hotel points and. You get a lot of cash back, and you get cash back. Sometimes you get 3%, 5%, or whatever the case may be. So, and then they keep increasing it, which is the catch-22.
Right, we're saying and it's like even on that point, going back to credit, so becoming financially literate. Like I remember when I first became an adult, I didn't understand what credit was, so I used it incorrectly. Every card, I remember the first card I got a Capital One card, and I remember my limit was $500. And I remember, let's just say I got the card on a Monday,
and it was
by Friday, it was maxed out.
Yep.
And because at that time, my understanding of credit was just from what I had heard in my environment, what I heard in my environment of, you can spend as much as you want, just as long as you make the minimum payment. So that was my understanding of credit. Spend whatever you want, just make the minimum payment, and then that's how I did it. Unbeknownst to me, I was the things that I spent $500 on, I ended up spending double paying because of the interest. And that's the part of credit that they didn't talk about in my network of conversations that was always already listening. No one ever talked about that aspect of it. It was just, you could just use it to buy whatever you want, or if you in a gym, you can. It was never about like, only spend. So if you'll go have $1,000 in this month, only spend $1,000 on this credit card, and then use your cash to pay off the credit card bill. Keep it going.
Yeah,
that's how I wish I was educated on credit, but it wasn't. So I had to learn the hard way, and I'm still learning the hard way.
Yeah,
but I'm doing better. I'm trying to do better, like everybody else out there.
Yeah, when you know better, you'll do better.
All right, next comment was from a not pregnant, just fat. These names, bro, be just blowing my mind sometimes.
They actually think about these names.
And they do. That's the funny part about it. So they say allow black people to boycott without having to include special turns and they said turns TURN. I'm assuming they meant terms.
TERM.
Yeah. But they typed turns, TURNS. So including special terms and conditions. Everything doesn't have to be overanalyzed.
So if we
had overanalyzed,
she need to shut the fuck up, because what's a boycott without putting or redirecting the funds.
Right.
What is it? We just ain't going to the store today?
A feel good haha moment?
Like what's going to it's supposed to be a Million Man March on April 1st.
I didn't know that.
Ain't nobody gonna be there.
Where's it supposed to be at?
Who knows? The thing's supposed to be in Washington or something, maybe somewhere. Like, do we need another march?
Right.
Our calves should be big enough.
Facts. And then so next comment came from Khadijah Grace. She says, keep it in your pocket so you can buy fruits and vegetable seeds. We're going into a famine, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, I see what she putting down.
Mm-hmm.
She making sense.
Yep.
Gardening. You know what's about gardening? I was looking into getting a job. I don't know if I told you this before. I was looking into getting a job over I think there was New Zealand somewhere, wherever they shoot Game of Thrones.
Yeah, New Zealand, I think.
And so I was going through looking at the jobs, looking at the benefits of the job, and the job came with this blew my mind. You get a gym membership, and at your office there's an outdoor space for your garden.
Really?
Yes.
A personal garden.
Yes.
That's dope.
So because you got to be at work, so why not have your garden at the job so you could tend to your garden during the day, like not have it back home.
Fact.
Because you can't tend to it if you're at work.
Right.
So that's the emphasis they put on health and nutrition, which is amazing. Dope. Yeah, I thought that was very amazing.
Our last comment comes from a Sam. I ain't gonna even try to pronounce that. Sam looks like a female picture. Look like a female. Yeah, look like a female. Look like braids to me. But then nevertheless, Sam says the plan is to buy essentials only. As much as possible, buy local, especially Black-owned businesses for essentials. Save, build wealth. This has been stated repeatedly.
Yeah, it has been stated.
But we're not doing it.
But we don't do it.
And that's the problem, Sam. We're not doing it. So to your point, Mr. Alexander, like, where are the funds being redirected to from these boycotts that we putting on or that we call ourselves putting on? Because it ain't staying in our bank accounts and collecting interest. It ain't doing that.
Because you don't get
that's what it's not doing.
Because you don't get no interest off the bank accounts. 0.002%.
So become financially literate, ladies and gentlemen. I know that's a word that you've heard of multiple times and you probably hear it. And for those of you who are wondering, what does that mean? Specifically, learn how money works. Learn how to manage it. Like I said, learn credit. Understand what APRs represents. Like, understand interest rates. Understand, again, like, debt ain't something that you carry. It's something that you want to pay off in the month so you don't get charged interest. When it comes back to your cash, understand that your cash ain't doing no work for you if you got it sitting in your checking account earning no interest. And even if you put it in your commercial, I'm not your commercial, but your retail savings account, it's still not doing the best work it can be doing for you because they're not giving you the best rate you can get. Ideally, you want to put it in a high yield savings account or a money market account. A managed money market account. You got to put the money in a place where it's going to be doing some work for you, not just sitting up collecting dust, losing buying power. Losing spending power due to inflation. Like you said, learn about inflation. That's what it means to be financially literate. Understanding how money works, understanding how the money system works, and understanding how you can make it work for you. Whether you're earning $10 an hour or you're earning $1 million an hour. Doesn't matter. If the mindset is whack, you're going to lose.
And I just had a meeting with my financial advisor yesterday, and just a little wisdom for anyone that's out there thinking of investing or that is investing. The stock market is about to, take a little dip because there's some changes being made. Things are happening.
That just means everything's on sale, though.
It's time to buy.
Now is the time to buy.
So some things.
When the stock market dips is when you buy.
Yeah.
Not sell.
Right.
But the average investor is looking to sell right now, which is why the smart investors are going to come up, quote unquote, because they're going to be. So just think of it like this. When the stock market is dipping like it is right now, that just means that the pair of Kobe Bryants that was selling for retail price at Foot Locker are now being sold at a discount at TJ Maxx or Ross. That's all the stock market dipping represents. Like, that's it. So that doesn't mean you just quote unquote. So again, if you see a pair of Kobe's that you've been wanting that I don't want to pay full price for them, you were waiting for them to go on sale. Now the stocks is on sale. Now's the time to buy the stocks, not sell them. Because I done had so many people, like, people still randomly ask me about these things, like, because you know, when I was learning how to invest, I was sharing online. So a couple of relatives and a couple of friends, they always hit me randomly from time to time. But then the last time I got hit up, they was like, oh, you know, like, what are you doing right now? Like, are you selling anything? Is now the time to sell? I'm just like, no, now's the time to buy. Oh, but the market is going down, it's dipping, like, da-da-da. I was like, well, the only way you can realize a loss is if you actually sell the stock. So the only way you can lose when the market is going down is if you actually sell at a loss. You can't lose if you don't sell. So if anything, now is the time to double up,
acquire more. Yeah.
So I think one of the last things I saw. Let's just say in the beginning or toward the end of the year, Tesla. Actually, we can look at it right now. So for example, I was gonna say, yep, got the stock thing right there. So for example. You ain't even opened the stock.
Not on that.
Right? Welcome. Not now. All right. So, for example, like Apple. So, right now, Apple is currently trading at $223.85, which is actually, but if we look at the 3-month, it's been down, as we see here. So, in December, Apple was at a high of around 253. Now it's at 223, which is basically, we'll just say about a $30 dip. Now, a lot of people are thinking like, oh, it's time for me to sell my Apple shares. But it's just like, no, like if now since December and it's been going down, it's just been time to buy. Because now it's about to start trending back up.
Because Apple ain't going nowhere.
Apple ain't going nowhere, right? The S&P ain't going nowhere. Yeah. The Dow Jones ain't going nowhere. So that's what I'm saying. Index funds. So there's a Dow Jones index fund that you can invest in. There's a S&P 500 index fund that you can invest in. Another, like Home Depot is another good position to be in. Why? Because to my knowledge, people ain't gonna never not want to improve their home.
Yeah, building and equipment and tools is always a necessity.
Construction service is always a necessity. So it's like Home Depot will be another opportunity to get into. But again, in December, Home Depot was trading for roughly just over, we'll just probably say about $400, just around $400. As of today, it's at $362, which means that it's going down by roughly $40. But that means that it's on sale.
That's exactly what it means.
It means that the Nike, the Kobe's that you wanted that was selling for $100 at Foot Locker are now at Ross or TJ Maxx for $49.99. That's all a dip in the stock market represents. So now is the time to buy. So buy.
Definitely. Good stuff.
All right. Well, on that note, we're gonna knock out we'll go ahead and go to our outro and on to the next episode.
There you have it. That's a wrap for another episode of the Ripple Effect Podcast. From moral maturity to money traps and the ever-evolving dynamic between men and women, we went there. We don't pretend to have all the answers, but we ask the questions that matter. We shake the table so we can build a better one. If this hits you, challenged you, or made you think, share it, like it, tag a friend, start the convo, and keep the ripples going. Until next time, I'm Quattro.
I'm Diesel.
Peace.